After the cataclysmic events in New York with his fellow Avengers, Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, lives in the nation's capital as he tries to adjust to modern times. An attack on a S.H.I.E.L.D. colleague throws Rogers into a web of intrigue that places the whole world at risk. Joining forces with the Black Widow and a new ally, the Falcon, Rogers struggles to expose an ever-widening conspiracy, but he and his team soon come up against an unexpected enemy. Welcome back to Midnight Double Feature, and on this feature presentation, we're going to be talking about Captain America: The Winter Soldier, directed by Joe Russo and Anthony Russo. Boys, welcome back.
Oi.
How we doing? How we doing this fine, well, for me and Matt, it's a morning, but for you, Colin, it's evening. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I just went to the gym today, had some work, very productive day. Now sitting down to watch this fucking piece of shit. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm just super.
Hey, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited to talk about this one because this is I don't want to blow my load or show my hand too quick, but this is definitely one of the more underrated of the Marvel movies, and I think it's high time that we covered it and give it the praise that it deserves for real.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I was when we choose our movies, I was lobbying hard for this movie. I was like, because you didn't want to jump like right into the MCU, kind of like halfway through. You wanted to sort of like, you wanted to start off with Iron Man, and I was like, okay, Iron Man is cool. Mm-hmm. But let's just go straight to the top. I think.
Yeah, just go for the jugular. Fuck it.
Just fuck it. Attack that fucking cunt. You know, yeah. All right. You know what? Let's just talk. Matt, wait. Actually, we haven't fucking introduced Matt yet. Matt, how you doing?
G'day.
Talk about
great fucking host I am.
Talk about being a cunt.
Yeah, I know, right? Jesus Christ. Matt, how you doing, man?
Dude, I'm extravagant. This film
Extravagant.
is, I think, easily the best of the MCU Marvel films.
Easily. All right.
I don't think there's many that could contest it. There's maybe like 2 or 3 I can think of, maybe that come close. This was a fucking great year for Marvel because this is the same year Guardians 1 came out. Hey.
Yeah, 2014, definitely.
What a fucking role. And I remember just thinking that year, like, what the fuck? That was when I realized how amazing Marvel hit it off. Because something else that we should definitely mention, if you want to talk about the ultimate Marvel, like this to me is the ultimate Marvel film. Because not only does it encapsulate everything we love about this amazing Avengers character, Captain America, but it expands the universe. It gives us more of minor characters, such as, or less focused on characters, such as Nick Fury and Black Widow and all this other cool shit. But this is like the only movie that fully really impacted everything other than like Avengers at the time. The events of this film affect every Marvel movie going forward and affects the TV shows. For those who don't know, there was the best episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. took place alongside this episode, and as the events fold out in this film, it affects the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I remember watching that like, oh shit, it's all connected, this is what they've been promising us. Now since then, the fucking TV shows have laid off and stuff, but this, man, this was like, they fulfilled on their promise of a fucking universe, man. This is just like, oh shit. For me, it was like, movies have changed for me. It was so cool, man. And it's such a great script. I'm stoked to talk about it. Let's go.
100%, man. I agree. I agree on every point that you just said. This movie's a fucking blast, man. Like, I honestly stand by these words, right? This has one of the best trailers I've ever seen in my life. I'm probably gonna.
Right.
I'm probably gonna, it's like 2.5 minutes. I'm probably gonna fucking splice the whole thing into here. I guarantee you, I love that trailer. It's so damn good. Talking about Captain America for a sec, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first Avenger. Before this movie, until recently, actually, I thought it was one of the weakest Marvel movies. Until I just recently sort of rewatched it. To me, Captain America is a bit like Superman. Not that he's like all powerful, so he's like boring. More like he's kind of a Boy Scout, right? Like you don't really kind of get into those characters that are like, let's do right by everyone. This is the moral thing. This is all good. When you're a teenager, when I first saw the first Avenger, I was like, this is kind of boring. Like he's got like no conflict and things like that. But this movie changed that. This is the third sort of appearance of Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Captain America, barring his little appearance in Thor: The Dark World, which wasn't even like an appearance. He wasn't that sort of developed in Avengers because it's pretty hard to develop your characters in an Avengers movie, I think. Because it's sort of like an event movie, but this movie just kind of pushed the character of Captain America forward and really, really humanized the character. Like he really, I fell in love with Captain America after this movie, man. Like this movie perpetuated the fact that Captain America is now probably the best character in the MCU. I think his probably only other sort of competition is Iron Man, but I don't think Iron Man sort of has the depth that Captain America does.
I disagree on that.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it.
Shots
we'll
fired.
talk about it.
What I do 1,000% agree with you on is, funnily enough, I went on a very similar journey to you. The first film, as a younger one, I was just like a bit. Well, I never really liked war movies, and the fact that it takes place during like one of the world wars is like, so that kind of put me off. And the costume in the first one was like intentionally cheesy, and so that also kind of put me off. But I always did love how they characterized him. I love that Boy Scout-esque. I like the idea of like he's the person we should all aspire to be and all that crap. And I love how that intertwines in this film. But what makes this film so fucking great is how they managed to modernize him, and honestly, it's such a solid script. And people always praise the directors Anthony and Joe Russo, but shout outs to the screenwriters whose names are
Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
I literally am looking at it right now. I pulled that up because I was like, dude, somebody has got to mention these guys.
Oh yeah, these guys are the unsung heroes of the MCU because they wrote they wrote all 3 Captain America movies, and they wrote Infinity War, and they've written Avengers 4. So
damn,
they never really get the praise that they deserve. Yeah.
I want to throw in one more like, wow, I can't believe they did this so well sort of moment. But without getting too nerdy about comics and stuff, what I find interesting about this film compared to pretty much all other Marvel films is that a lot of the stuff we see in the MCU, they're based on like comics we've seen from like 60, 70 zillion years ago or something, It's like they're trying to bring back the classics. The Winter Soldier as a character, I believe, wasn't introduced to like 2005 or something, which goes to show like how much cool stuff they still got in them, because the design of Winter Soldier is so fucking badass, right?
He's fucking awesome, man.
Yes.
Oh man, and that really excites me. Like literally the shot when I remember seeing the trailer for the first time, and when that fucking shield comes at Winter Soldier and he just catches it, I'm just there like, what the fuck? No, he caught the shield.
Don't blow your load over there, Matt. We'll get to that scene. Don't worry.
Like that was so good that they literally just stole it and threw it in Ragnarok with the hammer, right?
Yeah,
that's definitely a callback.
The directors, whenever a movie gets announced, whenever the directors of a big movie like this get announced, I kind of like do a little kind of like research into their backstory and things like that. These directors, before before The Winter Soldier, they'd only directed You, Me, and Dupree and Welcome to Collinwood, so they weren't really in the action genre. So I was
unless you count the paintball.
like, no, I'm getting there.
Sorry.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. They're very they're very proficient in TV though. They've done episodes of Arrested Development, Community. They're mainly from Community, especially Matt. Tell us about Community and what they've directed in Community.
They've had so Community, for those who don't know, they do a lot of meta sort of stuff, and they love these paintball episodes where they get to just really dive into the action genre. And there are a couple in particular that did it so fucking well. Surprise, surprise, who directed those? The Russo brothers. So that's pretty... Yeah, it was a weird choice at the time. It felt like a weird choice at the time, picking those guys, but god damn do they deliver.
Oh, for sure. Colin, what else do you have to tell us about The Winter Soldier before we kick this off?
Well, I think there's a really good distinction to be made when you're talking about when you're talking about the parallels between Iron Man and Captain America, and really like when you look at you look at the big four of the Avengers, it's Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and Captain. And that's really like the big four of them. But the thing, as much as a Hulk fan as I am, as much as I love Hulk, he's almost never had a solo movie. I mean, except for, Eric Bana and Edward Norton. And those movies are fine and all, but they hardly connect to this, universe. And what I think is really great about Thor and Captain America, what they share in common is the loss, the sacrifice. The loss of your loved ones, the loss of, Thor by the time Infinity War comes up has lost a lot of people. And the same thing with Captain America. I mean, Captain America, at least Thor has friends that he spent his life with, and he and Captain are kind of in the same boat. But with Iron Man's lost almost no one. It's like he has somewhat of a redemption factor, and it's like a it's his own self-redemption. He comes around full circle, and it's a great arc. But the thing about Thor and Captain America that they share in common is just the loss of so much. And I think we've automatically, because of the comic books, because of just, all the mythology behind them internationally, just all over the world, we've built them up as we know that these guys are gods, just like gods. Even Captain America, who's not technically a god, he's just incredible. He's more man than anybody else. He's just awesome. But what we like more than anything is kind of deconstructing those people and breaking them down. We see the same thing with Bruce Wayne in the Dark Knight trilogy. We see the same thing with a lot of comic book characters that do it right. And I think that with Hulk, as much as I love Hulk, Hulk has almost no loss. Granted, he has this horrible, he's like a very Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of character, but when you look at Captain America, who lost Bucky, who lost, Haley Atwell is her name, but I can't think of her character's name. All I think of is Haley Atwell.
Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
Thank you, Agent Carter. And he's lost basically everyone. And it's kind of like Fry in Futurama. You go to sleep one day and you wake up the next, and everything's changed and everything's gone. And I think it's important to note that, because that would drive most people insane. That would just drive them to the. Imagine waking up in 2120 now, or 2118. You would. I would lose my mind. And to have the composure that Captain America still has is really, I think, really rings true, because, and it's also this movie has a great turning point with Captain America, where he's like, yeah, I take orders, and yeah, my whole life has been based around the military. I am who I am because of this industrial kind of military complex that we have in the U.S., but at the same time, it's me. I'm not a machine. I can make my own choices. And we really get to see that in Civil War. We really see that move on into the third one, where he's kind of not going... yes, I guess he is going rogue, but at the same time, just because someone gives you orders doesn't make them right. And I think it's great because he's not... I think like the analogy with Superman in DC Comics... Superman is kind of that character. He just kind of goes where people need him and doesn't really question a lot of stuff, at least not that I've seen. And really, this is kind of the first movie where we see, there's the school, and this guy is the school boy. He's the hall monitor. He's the one like rapping knuckles and making sure everybody's in check. And eventually, he just kind of rejects that, and I think that's great. He's like, and it slowly builds more momentum going up into Civil War. So I think this is a great movie. I think it really fleshes out, the whole thing of what does he want to do? What makes him happy? What is it that drives him to be Captain America? And like what is it? Do you really like doing this? I think it's a great kind of in-depth look into him, and it doesn't feel tired. It doesn't feel like it's been done to death. It doesn't feel anything like that. And it's great to see that with, you see, like I said, with Thor, you see him kind of get thrown down and he loses so much. And the same thing with Captain America, but they just deal with it in the different ways. And I think that's great to watch. And I think it's worth noting that distinction between him and Iron Man, who literally Iron Man has, if anything, he has gained. He hasn't lost much except for, if you start getting into Infinity War and stuff. But, and I don't want to go all spoiler crazy there. But yeah, I think that's really something. As I was watching it, I was like, there's something about this movie that I can't sink my teeth into. What is it? And I was like, oh yeah, it's just the loss, the true part of being a hero and the sacrifice that it takes to be that hero. And I think that's definitely something worth noting.
Yeah, for sure. I think the thing, I don't want to rag on Iron Man's arc too much. I think although it's not sort of like overt as Captain America's is, like you said, Captain America has loss, but Iron Man throughout the movies, his thing is grief. I think, like, and sort of feeling guilty and guilt. Because he creates Ultron.
Well, even before that, his weapons created stuff, and then he wants to make amends for that. And
that's right. And then what happens with Spider-Man and Infinity War? Like, it's all. This kind of leads into another thing that I want to quickly just bring up before we move on. Our good friends at Hey Do You Remember, Chris Schrader. I was listening to their latest episode where they covered the Flintstones. That terrible movie. That movie does aesthetics so well. Like it really looked like the cartoon, the original, and things like that. Chris brings up a great point where he says that you can almost compare this to Marvel, except where Marvel excels is the characters. Like, you feel for Captain America, you feel for Iron Man, because they do such a good job with these characters whilst also making the movies really aesthetically pleasing and sort of really true to the source material. And dude, I totally like reacted to that statement by Chris, because it was so on the money. Like, Marvel absolutely do their characters justice so well.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
For sure. Unless we got anything else to say, guys, do you want to jump right into it?
Man, I got a million more things to say. Let's just jump in, because they'll come out as guys.
They'll come out as a guys,
I'm
man.
so stoked to talk about this. Let's do it.
We got 2 hours and 15 minutes of movie to cover, so let's get into this bitch.
Most of the intelligence community doesn't believe he exists. The ones that do call him the Winter Soldier. He's a ghost. You'll never find him.
Join S.H.I.E.L.D. to protect people.
Captain, to build a better world sometimes means tearing the old one down.
And that makes enemies.
He's fast. Strong. Got a metal arm. Are you ready? All it takes is one step.
People are gonna die. I can't let that happen.
Captain America needs my help. When do we start?
We just did. price of freedom is high. And it's a price I'm willing to pay. He told me not to trust anyone. This is how it ends. Everything goes.
Looks like you're giving the orders now, Captain.
Damn right.
How do we know the good guys from the bad guys? If they're shooting at you, they're bad.
We kick it off in Washington D.C. I immediately like the way it just kind of fades in. It's like it's a whole different setting. Like it's really good to see something other than New York.
Right.
I think. Yeah, we get the Washington Monument,
which will later play into Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. We get the pretty cool score. I like the score in this from Henry Jackman. Like it's very patriotic, and it feels very Captain America-esque. We get introduced to the Falcon. He's jogging away, and Captain America. We get this really comedic scene on your left. I really dug this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really cool way to introduce these two, I think. And I was like, it's just cool, man. Like they immediately have chemistry already.
What I love.
What do you think? What do you guys think about the Falcon?
Yeah. Oh man, you want to just talk Falcon? He's great, man. He's great, man. Like Anthony Mackie is so charismatic. You can tell he loves this role so much. And as time's gone on, he's just become even more and more charismatic throughout. But I love how they meet in this scene. I love one of my favorite things in films is like where you take a line and then you bring it back later on with a new meaning. I love those type of callbacks, and On Your Left is such a great one. It's funny, like he's all like reacting to it and stuff, and it's
simple.
Just a great way to start things. It's so simple, but you know what? It's a great way to establish characters. Like we see Captain America, he's inhumanly fast, right? So, but already we get an understanding of the scale, because one thing that this movie does very differently to the previous appearances of Captain America is his powers. I feel like they're a bit more. They show them off a bit more. Like
they're a bit more refined. Yeah.
Yeah. If you look in the first Avenger and Avengers, he's using guns in those films, and he's not doing crazy jumps, and he's not doing all that. He's not so much of a super soldier. In this film, he is, and we see it straight away with the running. We get that he's a really nice person with the way he's talking, and you can tell he's he's all about duty. He's all about like his morals and stuff. And then we get also a nice introduction to Black Widow when she picks them up as well.
Yeah, Colin, what do you think about this opening?
I like it a lot. It's funny because I look at Anthony Mackie and all I think is Papa Doc from 8 Mile. Because that movie came out when I was in like middle school, and there's a really funny meme actually of like, this guy's an Avenger, his real name's Clarence, like which is a line straight out of 8 Mile. But I think it's great because not only he's conscious of, I don't know, there's something about Captain America where he's conscious of running up on this guy, and he's not saying hello. He's not like, hey, how you doing? He's just saying on your left. It's respect. It's a common courtesy. Hey, I'm next to you. Like working in the restaurant industry, we do that all the time. Hey, behind you, knife coming around, sharp, hot. Like there's a lot of calls going around, and it's just common courtesy that you don't want to disrupt the people around you. You don't want to hurt them, and it spoke to me just from working in the restaurant industry, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. We say that. I can't tell you how many times I've heard on your left. Like I've heard it so many times. So it really struck home for me. And it's great because, like you said, we're opening up in Washington. It's not some dark, very gritty kind of like opening. It's comedic. It's lighthearted. We're seeing, this movie's about Captain America. What's the world like now that he's in it? And they've got this hilarious, exchange where he tells him the Marvin Gaye album, and you looked at all the shit he's written down. He's written like Disco, so Nirvana, like Rocky 2. He's written down a lot of great things that he's missed out on. So like right away, instead of just telling people, you could have this done in such a shittier fashion where he's just talking about, exposition and talking about all the people that he's missed. But right away, we really start to feel, if you look at that list, it starts with I Love Lucy and ends with like Nirvana. It's like, oh shit, like this guy has really missed out on a lot. And it's great to set it up comedically, but also show us at the same time exactly how much it is that he's missed.
Well, to add on to that, like that's also a great example of probably one of Marvel's greatest Easter eggs. So, for those who don't know, this list is different for many different countries and different continents and stuff. So, depending on what version you're watching, you're going to see different things on the list. For us, I think we had Skippy.
Well, we have the same list. No, we have. No? I think we have the same list as America. I believe.
Was it? Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I didn't check when I rewatched.
No. You're right. You're right, because I remember watching this at the movies and and reading an article at the same time, and it was like the list appears differently in almost every country. So, yeah, but it's a pretty cool Easter egg.
If you want to go on a deep Google dive and check out all the lists, some of those references are like pretty like maybe that's not the first thing I'll tell them to check out. But it is a nice little nudge, and it goes to show like how much fun Marvel likes having with this stuff, and how much they like to just give their fans reasons to come back and watch. And I love those little Easter eggs, man. That attention to detail, for sure. It just makes you feel so. It's so cool. Inviting to dive into it.
Yeah, inviting is the right word. There's another thing that I really wanted to talk about here, and it starts here actually. The whole idea of the veterans and the way that the wars have affected different people. Like you get the Falcon talking about he's like, it's your bed, right? Like that's why you can't sleep and things like that. Mm-hmm. It's so clever. It is so clever because this Captain America's from World War II, and I believe Falcon's from Afghanistan. So it's just really clever to kind of weave that sort of VA stuff into the story, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy how they go from a comedic moment like the don't say on your left to that so quickly, and they give out so much information so quickly. The amount of time that we've spoken about this is longer than the actual scene, but that's how much great shit they've packed into such a short amount of time, because there's so much that we can just take out of it.
For sure. Colin, were you about to say something there?
Oh, no. I think I was just going to say that, yeah, it's great to see that, we start off on a lightheaded note, but, this is Captain America. This is a guy that, had he not been frozen, would have been in every single war, to date. He would have been in all of this stuff. But while he's been frozen, here's a real soldier. This guy really has been in real war since you've been asleep. And I think it's great that, yeah, we look at Captain America and it's like, yeah, you're a soldier, yeah, you're awesome, but no one ever wants to talk about the PTSD from that of basically facing your own death and living through it. And I think a lot of people forget that this guy stared down the barrel of a loaded gun and crashed this ship and ended up coming out clean on the other side, thankfully. But everyone wants to ignore the fact that, Captain America has lost all of these people. They're just sending him to, Bolivia and Bavaria and wherever else he needs to go. But this is kind of, it is as stupid as it sounds. It's kind of like no one has asked Captain America, how are you? How are you adjusting with all of this? Like how they just kind of drop him in and expect him to be able to do it. And I think it's great to actually see how he feels about the things around him.
Definitely. So Scarlett Johansson shows up. Oh, she's a smoke show in this movie.
Yeah.
She shows up in her Corvette, that sweet Corvette, because Captain America has a mission. And then we transition over to the Indian Ocean, where they're in the Quinjet. Well, we get introduced to a few soldiers here that I really wanted to talk about. Frank Grillo. He comes back in Civil War as Crossbones, a villain. Frank Grillo by himself is actually a really damn good actor. I recommend checking out Warrior, which stars Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton. He's in that. I believe he's in the Purge movies as well, the sequels. Mm-hmm. But he's definitely. He's got a screen presence that really makes him watchable, especially in this movie too. Like he's got this aggression that really he plays really well. There's also another guy here that I want to talk about as well. His name is Collin Mulvey. He's an Australian actor. He was from Underbelly. He's breaking out into bigger movies as well. He was actually in Batman vs Superman as KG Beast. He's awesome, man. He's got this pretty crazy facial scar. I had a quick look into that. Apparently, he got into an accident here in Sydney, and they literally had to like replace his like half of his face because it was so like destroyed.
Yeah, like I noticed the eye, and I was kind of like, "What's up with that?" And like, I will say though, Frank Grillo, somebody fucked up not letting this guy play Punisher. Somebody really fucked up somewhere, dude. Because I watched that second Purge movie, and he's in a black like muscle car.
Yeah,
he's in all black. He's running around with like an M16. I was like, dude, somebody fucked up real hard not letting this guy. Like, don't get me wrong, the TV show from what I've seen is great, and what's the guy who plays Shane on Walking Dead? I'm fucking totally drawing a blank. But he does
John Bernthal? Whatever.
Yeah, thank you. Yes,
John Bernthal.
He does a great job, but this guy needs to. If they do another film adaptation, I mean, I understand it. He's already this Crossbones character, and I just read an article the other day where he said he is coming back again as Crossbones. But I mean, this guy needs to, in some degree, try to tackle the Punisher because he just emulates him so well. And the whole time I'm like, okay, the guy, whoever this guy is, not Frank Castle. That's all I called him the whole time watching. It was not Frank Castle. But yeah, somebody fucked up not letting that guy play the Punisher for real.
Yeah, see what I mean? Like, he really does that aggression really well. Like, and he could definitely pull the Punisher off. But
I want to talk about with this scene. Sorry, if you don't mind.
No, go on. I was going to move on, but yeah.
What I love, all this sort of goes into the next one as well, and a bit throughout. But something that this film does really well, probably better than a lot of other films, is the everyday life sort of conversations that people have. Like here, Natasha sort of starts leading into an ongoing, it's kind of like a running joke, but to me it's just great character building about trying to find Steve Rogers a date.
Yeah.
And like it becomes an ongoing gag, but it's like, yeah, fuck, this dude's 95. He hasn't like, who's he seeing? Who does he relate to? There's that joke about his barbershop quartet being dead. Like, I just really love that going in.
It's cool, man.
And we really do establish like the relationships between these characters quickly. And I remember thinking, like, when they do a sequel to Captain America, what are they going to do? I don't think that they're going to do like a Shield-based like movie. It makes sense, but yeah. And I just love how like they're sending out these missions now and stuff. Like, unlike the other Avengers who are like living their day-to-day lives and then they have to become heroes when the time is needed, this dude is a soldier all the time. He's doing missions, just like Black Widow, and yeah, and like I love seeing that here. Yeah,
for sure. So this is just this scene quickly. This is the strike team. They're just doing a quick brief mission briefing before they head in over here. The ship Lemurian Star. It's been overtaken by pirates. About 25 of them. And basically, they're just going to go and rescue S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. We get a quick rundown of who's in charge of the pirates. His name is George Batroc. He's played by Georges St. Pierre, who is a massive UFC champion. Like, he's man, this guy can fight. And you see his fucking skills later. Like, I don't know if all that, like, I'm sure there was no wire work when they did his, like, scenes, like, fight scenes.
What I didn't know about this character until recently, he's from the comics. He's called Batroc the Leaper, and he's like a cheesy sort of character known for jumping really high and stuff. But they did a really nice transition to him to make him more realistic. And if you look carefully at his costume, you see like little bits of purple and stuff, which is like small hints to his original costume. And in a way, it is kind of close-ish. It's just a lot more realistic. And I didn't know this my first couple times watching it. He was such a minor character. But when I heard of that, I was like, what? And I went on this huge Wikipedia dive. And I'm like, fuck, man, this is the stuff that Marvel does really good. They bring back all these subtle hints. For someone who would know him, they would have lost their shit. But for me, it's like, oh, okay, it's just a cool bad guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew who St. Pierre was back then, so I was like, this is pretty awesome. We're going to we're going to take this action sequence as a whole. We're not going to sort of go, and then he kicked him, and then he kicked him. So, Colin, talk to me about this entire action sequence here.
I think this is really the setup for why this movie has. I'm going to say I think it's the best choreography out of any Marvel movie that I've seen.
100%. Yes,
I would hard debate somebody about Infinity War's got some great ones. I'm sure Spider-Man.
Well, we haven't seen this kind of action sort of fight sequences in a Marvel movie since and before this, I think.
Right. Yeah. It's like CrossFit meets parkour.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like everything
MMA kind of thing.
Yeah, everything is fluid. Everybody is there. Everything is always bouncing off of each other, and I think not to make a pun because of the shield and shit, but. Just with just the choreography in that the only shot that I do want to touch on is when he's running down the side of the ship and you see him just fucking dropping people, and it's like, oh man, and that's just a taste of this whole scene, and it's great because we're really showing that when you unleash Captain America, like, dude, this guy is not only is he fast, but he's extremely agile. Like I think it's so cool. When you think of like agile, quick people in the Marvel universe, I'm thinking Spider-Man. I'm not thinking like I'm not thinking that fucking Captain America is going to be doing parkour videos on YouTube and shit. This guy is just so fast, and I think it's great. I think it sets the precedent for the rest of the movie and their choreography and how the fight scenes play a part. And this is the when the fight scene between Captain America and what's the fighter's name? Do you say Dom St. Pierre?
Georges St. Pierre.
Georges St. Pierre.
Yeah. The characters
actually, you know what? Let's break this up a little. Let's talk about because I wanted to talk about that fucking fight scene as a separate man like that. You can talk about that forever, but talk to me about until they rescue the hostages, because like that's when, because this fight scene, what they do cleverly in this movie is like they have these massive action sequences. But within the action sequences, they're kind of broken up into thirds or like sections. Mm-hmm. You get this drop down, and then you got him kind of like stealthily moving across the ship, and then you've got the sort of the breach where they breach the bridge and rescue the hostages, and then you've got the fight with GSP. So talk about it however you want to, obviously.
I was just going to say that, like, what I love about it is the fact that this is with Marvel. I think that a common complaint a lot of people have, and then I kind of have too, is that it's so hard to get locked into it sometimes when everything is just green around them. They're not even talking to real people. Like it kind of takes you out of it a little bit if you know how these movies are made. But when you're watching this, obviously there's a lot of CGI, but this whole fight between him and the UFC fighters is so great because it's not a lot of CGI. It's just really, really well done choreography, and you can tell they worked their fucking asses off to get that right. And so, Sebastian, is it Sebastian Shaw or Sebastian Stan?
Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan, thank you. Sebastian Shaw is from X-Men. I'm sorry, but. Basically, Sebastian Stan, he practiced for 5 or 6 months, learning about the Cold War and not only the physical thing, but they said when he was not filming, he was constantly out doing his moves and fighting with the knife and fighting anybody he could just to get. He was like, because it's keeping me leveled up. When I go and I sit down and I get out of the chair and I'm not physically prepared to do it. He's like, but if I keep doing it, I'm always going to be fresh and ready to go. And I was like, that kind of commitment deserves to be respected and deserves to be mentioned. It's just so great, the whole choreography in it.
Man, what I love
100%, man.
What I love about this scene, there's a shot where he throws the shield and it bounces off a few people and hits them and stuff. And what I love about that is it really sets up to, oh snap, this Captain America fights a lot differently than he did in the first film. And how he starts doing these flips and stuff. I'm like, yeah, he's like a total badass now. I fucking love that. And I remember that getting so hyped. We see Black Widow doing like her little spy action stuff, which we got like a little bit of a taste in Iron Man 2, I feel. But not to this extreme. And like, it really feels like a military stealth mission being thrown in there, which is great. And then if you want to break down to that fight scene, like, it's just so well, the way they shot, it's like they're not afraid to use long, wide shots. You can see it's all the actors doing it. It's so cool. And then you get that cool little chat where it's like, are you more than a shield? He puts it away. He's like, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's such a great opening to the film. It's so exciting. It's dope.
Just quickly, I did want to talk about probably the MVP that they're trying to rescue here, Jasper Sitwell. He comes back into it a bit later. This bald sort of shield agent. He was in a few Marvel do. I'm not too sure if they still do them, but they're called one shots. Kind of like a short film that kind of accompanies like these bigger films. And I think he was. I believe he was in Agents of Shield. I'm not too sure.
No, he was, and he was a major.
He's a player
into a few episodes around the Winter Soldier area, and he's one of those minor characters that he helps connect a lot of things together. And again, something I love so much about Marvel as well.
For sure.
And,
but yeah, we. Oh no! Is there anything else?
Go on.
Oh no! I was just going to move us through it. So, obviously they rescue the agents. Some of these shots are just absolutely incredible. Like the shot of like the soldiers just on the outside of the ship as they rappel down. It's just so cool, man. Like,
and how quiet they are. Oh, it's so
how
cool.
quiet they are. Yeah, like Kevin Feige, who's the head honcho of Marvel, he described this as a sort of a spy conspiracy movie, which it absolutely is. Like this is like there's double crosses and things like that. That's kind of sprinkled through here. It's awesome, man. Like this, and the way this first 15 to 20 minutes is kind of playing out, like it just sets the tone of the film so well. But yeah, we get GSP's character sort of fleeing, running away. The entire sort of conceit of that fight scene you guys have kind of already laid out is just amazing. Like the way it's shot, it's all in wide angles and like there's no kind of fuckery here. Like I mean, you know, maybe I know that Batroc can fight by himself without ropes, but I'm not too sure if Chris Evans can. But like, it doesn't look like there's any fuckery here. Like, it looks like these two are actually kind of going at it and like, you know, breaking bones.
There's probably a stunt double in somewhere, but you can't tell. You really can't.
Right, exactly.
And it's such a great hand-to-hand combat scene.
I'm not usually a big fan of like hand-to-hand combat. I'd rather see a firefight. But this movie, man, like this is just. We'll get to it when during the later action scene with the Winter Soldier. There is some amazing shit that happens there later. But essentially, Black Widow's doing some CD shit, right?
It's just an interesting scene. Like Steve grabs Batroc or whatever, they smash him through the door. And he comes in. He's like, "What are you doing here?" And there's like a nice conversation where it's like, I'm doing my missions. Like, what are you talking? That's not part of the mission. It's not part of your mission. And you sort of realize that's when it starts playing these seeds for, oh shit, what's S.H.I.E.L.D. up to? Which are like these little suspicions we even got in Avengers. And it really you start remembering, oh shit, that's right. Black Widow's a fucking spy. She's a spy her whole life. He's a soldier. She's a spy. And it really starts setting things up really, really well, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Colin, do you have anything else to say before we move on?
No, just that, I was actually going to move on to the next scene where he's talking to Nick Fury about what's happening. And I kind of think about this, like, I think what's great about these, like, this is kind of almost like an espionage kind of movie. It's kind of a political thriller in a way. And I think that they do really well with taking their politics seriously with what this kind of character would really be like if he existed in the world. Not only that, but Nick Fury's kind of right. You know, basically, not everybody can know everything all the time. He's like, we do not put all of our eggs in one basket. Not everyone can be trusted 110%. And I mean, he's fucking right. I think that it's one of the few instances where I was watching a movie and I was like, no, I kind of disagree with Captain America. Like, I think that what Nick Fury is saying is really right to an extent. But at the same time, there are flaws with it. But Captain America is kind of naive to a lot of this. I think he understands. I think he definitely understands how the world works. But in the same breath, he's almost too trusting on things. He thinks too well of people sometimes, and maybe it's just the cynical 28-year-old asshole in me. But there is something to be said about, Nick Fury is kind of like, he's like, this is the world that you live in now. This is not 1941. You've got to come to terms with the world that you live in now. And I think that's a great kind of driving theme of the whole movie. And Nick Fury kind of spells it out for him in this whole scene. It's great. It's really good dialogue.
I think this scene captures the what makes this film so great. I think this is like, if you could sum up the Winter Soldier in one scene in terms of themes, it's this scene, because you got things of like, I feel like Captain America here, he's who, maybe he represents idealistic America, but maybe you could say Sam Jackson's character, Nick Fury here, he's kind of representing kind of the thoughts that it seems to be America has with its military a lot these days, and for justifiable reasons. Both sides you could put, you could point criticisms at. And when Sam Jackson's like, look, we want to, I forget the exact wording, but he's like, we want to stop the threats before they're a threat. That's like, oh shit, okay. I remember hearing talks about that after 9/11. That makes a lot of sense. But then you got Captain America on the other hand saying, well, then that's not, was it? It's like, usually, what's the quote? It's like, usually the punishment comes after the crime, And so that's a very like traditional mindset versus this. So all these things of paranoia and surveillance has come into play. And what I find really interesting is there was a great interview recently with Kevin Feige. He was talking about it, and he goes, so when the film came out, that was like around time the NSA stuff was going down, I believe. And he was like, yeah, this was a coincidence. We didn't plan to have this political commentary to affect with a real life event. But it just goes to show with the writers that they were so on the mark with where I think America, maybe even the world, is when we start talking about security and terrorism and things like that, and surveillance. And this film really does capture a lot of those themes. And we see Captain America like what we'd like it to be versus what is going on. And, you could make arguments on both sides, but it just goes to show like this film is one of those films where it has something to say. It has a message. And, you could be on for and against either side. It's until Hydra comes into play. But yeah, it's so fucking good, man. This movie's so fucking good.
For sure. You right there? You wanna fucking clean up the jizz?
Oh, just a side note. Just a side note. Matt took steroids for the first time before this episode. Yep. No.
and cocaine, and he's got some cocaine on his nose over there. I don't want to go past this story that that Fury tells in the elevator with the grandfather. Keep on stepping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we get the reveal of the three helicarriers. I love the way this movie reveals shit. Just the way like you get Captain America's little kind of like he's curious. You see him kind of look out. And then Fury's like, they're a little bigger than a 22, and you just get the look of these like three massive helicarriers, which are also sporting the new technology from Stark, courtesy of Stark, because he got shredded in Avengers by the old propeller.
Yeah. Which in a way I think is planting seeds for Ultron, because the concept of it's always looking over the world, it's kind of trying to neutralize threats before it happens. Really goes into like what he says later on about an armor for the world, Ultron and all that. Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Fury. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say real quick. This also rings something from The Dark Knight to me with Batman's sonar technology and
Fox.
Yeah. Right. Yes, and it's great because Batman understands that this is like this is not something that you can use all the time. That it's doing the work for you. You can't. I mean, we're heroes. We have to go out and we're the ones hitting the pavement and we're the one busting heads and we're the ones knocking on doors. We don't let a goddamn machine do it for us because we're the best hands for this to be in. And I think that's such a great point, and Batman kind of has that realization, but S.H.I.E.L.D. on the other hand, that's just such a large organization, obviously dealing with this with so many people and so many lives being at stake. I understand their point, though.
Yeah, Captain America has this through line where he doesn't really trust. He's very careful of who he trusts in the MCU. Like what you just said, Colin, is word for word a quote that he says in Civil War. He's like, "The safest hands are still our own." Mm-hmm. Like that's fucking awesome, man. They've just fleshed this character out so well. But look, moving on, we get to the Air and Space Museum. I actually went here in February. It's really cool to see it
Sweet.
In person, man, like in DC. All of their fucking museums are free. Like, how amazing is that? Like, if this was Sydney, Matt, they would charge you like $100 just to get in, and then like probably like $100 to ride the fucking elevator up to the second floor. But yeah, this is a really touching moment. Like Captain America gets to see like what he's become in history, like this icon, this person who's a living legend. Just and this moment that he has with this kid, like he's just admiring him, he wants to be him, and then he takes off his cap, does a little shush. You know, it's really cool, like superhero, not secret identity because everyone like knows him, but it's really cool, like superhero stuff, and it's really inspiring. I think like it's very important that a movie like this is inspiring to kids. It's just a beautiful moment, and then we get we get a little backstory. I think it might have been it was a little heavy-handed, I think, to give us this much backstory about Bucky Barnes, because like at this point we're a bit like, well, we don't know who the Winter Soldier is because, you know, but then like who else is there? Who else could it possibly be?
Oh no, I gotta disagree with you. I don't think there is a mystery. There's a big mystery about them trying to discover who the Winter Soldier is. They don't really go ahead and try and delve into his past and stuff. I think this scene is trying to tell us, kind of like what Collin was leading to earlier about loss. You know, we're meant to feel sorry for him because it's his last friend. This is his best friend, and he lost him. And that's why I think it's the next scene or the scene after where he goes and finds Peggy, because again, like he's in this place of loneliness, and you know everyone he knows is gone. So I feel like, yeah, this scene does set up the Winter Soldier reveal a bit later on. You're right, but I feel like the main takeaway, at least for me, is damn, he lost his best friend.
Well, it's not how the movie. It's not what this scene. Okay, I'm saying that the movie is intentionally trying to create a mystery out of the identity of the Winter Soldier, like the way we get the score, like his music, the way he appears out of the fog earlier, like later in the movie. Like it's definitely someone that he knows. And I think at that point when you're watching the movie, you're like, okay, who could it possibly be? And then you're like, oh shit, it's probably Bucky because it can't be anyone else. Like,
I don't know, because there's no dialogue. It's like, I wonder who he is. You know what I mean?
Where do you fall into it, Colin?
Well, I don't know, because I think that it is a little heavy-handed. They're kind of like, hey, see this guy? Look at him. This guy. It's kind of heavy-handed, but at the same time, like we do need to understand about the loss. And I think of course, everybody thinks that the way that they would have gone about it is the best way. And I hate to be that kind of asshole, but the way I see it in my head is just kind of like, instead of like inseparable on the playground and the battlefield, Steve Rogers and blah blah blah. I think that it couldn't have been so heavy-handed. I think, if they'd have just dropped in there, the fact that Bucky was the only one who lost his life, I think that automatically, boom, we show loss, and boom, we show guilt. We show it immediately because, just cutting over to Captain America and Captain America maybe just like laying his head down or, shedding a tear or whatever, we can do it by showing the audience and not just having heavy-handed kind of, like somewhat exposition and somewhat foreshadowing. Like, yeah,
rule number one in filmmaking, right? Show, don't tell.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I guess. Something I'll throw.
Oh no,
out
go
there
ahead.
Sorry, I'll throw this out there though. In one of the ways they change some source material, which I find interesting, is the dynamics. So when they do introduce the Winter Soldier character in the comics, I feel like a little bit more tragic because Bucky Barnes, when it was first introduced, he was basically Robin from Batman and Robin. He was like this 16-year-old kid who would follow this, this adult superhero around, and then it was Marvel's idea to kill off Bucky Barnes for so long. He was one of the only characters who stayed dead for forever because the idea was like, no, these heroes shouldn't be taking like little kids out with them to fight these little like literal like huge threats and stuff. And it was kind of like a lesson and why a lot of Marvel superheroes don't have sidekicks. And so it was really tragic. This like child died. Now with the movies, what I actually like, and it still works, but they sort of flip it around. It's Steve Rogers, when we first met him, was like this weak little, thing, and he's sort of looking up to Bucky, if anything, and like I find that really interesting, and like that became like the bromance between these guys is so powerful and strong. They're not it wasn't like a sidekick scenario. It's just like it's like best friends, and again that loss of friendship, that loss of that life it's a really powerful moment.
Yeah, for sure. Then we get this scene with this really harrowing scene with Agent Carter. I don't. It's really tough for me. It's really tough for a movie, like to me, kind of like cry. First time I saw this, I cried. Just because at the time my grandmother was still alive and she kind of was exhibiting these kinds of symptoms as well. Just the way she carries on with this conversation, and then it immediately kind of circles like to the start again.
So sad.
It was very, very tough to watch for me. She's an incredible actress, Hayley Atwell, and this entire scene is just sold so well.
It's a
because I kind of wondered because at first it's just a totally normal like coherent conversation, and it's great because Captain America's like I've lost everybody and blah blah blah, and she's like you always were so dramatic, and she just like cuts his feet out from under him. It's so great. It's great because they're having this real conversation, and she's like you were always just so dramatic, but I had no idea of what her condition was until she all of a sudden was just like, Steve, oh, it's you. And I was like, wait, what the fuck is... I was like, oh my God. And it totally fucking got me. The first, this is probably the second time I've seen this movie. But it totally caught me by surprise because it would be different if we had like when you see at the end of Benjamin Button, he's kind of getting incoherent and he's defensive and paranoid. It would have been different if this would have been the whole conversation the entire time with Peggy Carter, but they save it until the very end and you're like, oh, fuck. Yeah. Like, it really hits you hard because you think that everything is A-okay and everything's fine. Well, she's old. She's getting sick. That happens. It's like, no, this is actually a little bit worse than you think. And that's what really got me with a gut punch, because I had a similar experience with my grandmother. She passed away about 2 years ago. She was 99 years old. But the issue is, like, as I was growing up, I wasn't bald with a red beard. I was a black-headed kid with no facial hair. And now, it's 20-something years later, and my grandmother had trouble recognizing me. She didn't really know who I was. And part of that is obviously, the age, and she, her mental state was fine. She could recognize a lot of people just fine, but she always had trouble recognizing me because I just looked so vastly different. So like, it definitely got me in the same way I think it got you, Zoheb, because I wasn't expecting it, and it just like it just hit me right in the nuts when I was least expecting it, and I was like, you motherfucker! Like, it kind of made me mad for a second, and I was like, no, okay, it's a good scene. It's a good scene. Don't take it so personally. I was like, it's a good scene. It's a good scene.
Yeah, I think like that way to end that scene with that moment, it's just so powerful. But not only is it's sad because she's going through that. It's also sad because like it reminds you about how old he is and how much he missed out on. Like, he loved her, and there was such a great line where he's like, it's a callback to the first film where he says something like, I owed you that dance, or for my best girl, or something like that. And it's like, it's like one of the last things he ever said to her before he quote unquote died. So that's like it really gets you. It's a great character building moment for Cap. But if I could just throw in another direction, if I could throw in a slight criticism for this film, I don't think the effects on her aging have aged well, if that makes any sense.
Really?
I don't think they
look amazing.
I was watching it the other day. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, wow, it's amazing. But I don't think it holds up.
I think it's practical, dude.
I don't know. There's something about it, and maybe it's because, I've watched 2 seasons of Agent Carter and seen it all this other stuff, but like, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, I don't buy it. It looks fake to me. The aging there.
I was going to say 100%. I did not think it was Haley Atwell. Like, I thought that, because I think that it does look good to the point that I was like, is that Haley Atwell? I was like, there's no way. And then slowly but surely, as I was watching it, I was like, yeah, I was like, okay, that's definitely her. But it was, I see what you mean. Like at first I totally bought it, but then upon other viewings and stuff, I was like, nah, I'm not 100% on board with this. But it doesn't take me out of the movie at all. But it was a little bit jarring. I totally do see your point though, Matt. I think it does look great, but at the same time, it does kind of like, huh, what? Like it kind of makes you double check, you know.
Honestly, it's just a super small nitpick because I'm not completely jizzing over the film, but that's only one of my very minor nitpicks I could come up for this film. That's how fucking great it is. And I gotta say,
I'm watching it now, and I'm like, I'm still blown away.
You know,
maybe it's just me.
Well, that's just because you want to fuck Haley Atwell.
Yeah, that's true, but not in this. Not with the makeup.
Oh man, don't. You know what? We will not kink shame you. Okay, we will not shame you. But I gotta say, I feel the same about the younger effects for Steve Rogers, like when he's like pre.
Oh, dude!
Oh, those look terrible. Like, I'm gonna be honest; those look terrible.
Like,
really?
I remember at the time,
I dig them.
At the time, everyone was like blown away, but I look at it now, and I don't feel like it's aged very well. And like another 10 years, we'll be maybe laughing at it. But for now, it's like I'm starting to see it.
Now, I will say this: it looks way better than it did in First Avenger. Way better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It looks so much better. But it's just because we only catch him in brief glimpses, you know, as his older self. It's really just like a quick flashback, and you don't really, you know, it's not as over the top as it was in the First Avenger. You know, it's kind of like not to beat a dead horse, but I was watching Benjamin Button the other day, and that's a prime example of how not to do it. It looks awful. Brad Pitt looks terrible in the beginning of the movie, and as they move on and they get into more practical effects, it looks great. But I do think it looks better than in First Avenger, but not by much. Not really by much though.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. We get this quick scene of Nick Fury trying to access the Lemurian star files, but his access is denied. When the director of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s access is denied, you know shit is up. Mm-hmm. He's like, what the fuck is going on? So he goes to see his old pal, played by Robert Redford, who is awesome in this. I dig Robert Redford. Sometimes like Marvel chuck these actors in who have so much class, like fuck, there was a recent one recently, I can't even remember it now. Well, Michael Douglas is awesome, I think, in Ant-Man. Like he's built up a thing, but like you get these like kind of these old A-grade, you know, golden era actors like Robert Redford, and it just kind of elevates the movie, I think.
No, for sure.
What do you guys think of Redford?
I was very surprised the first time I saw it. I was like, no fucking way. That is not Robert Redford. And I was extremely surprised. I did read a little bit that he eventually, you know, he just basically came out and was like, I did this because my grandkids love Marvel movies and I wanted to be in one. You know, and I'm sure all he had, I mean, this, talking about a guy that's in the fucking, you know, that's in Sting and so many other like classic films. I'm sure all this guy had to do was put in a phone call and they're like, oh, fuck yeah, dude. Like, yeah, you can be in our movie. Like, why the fuck not? They also do a really good job with Thunderbolt Ross, who's played by William Hurt. Yep. That guy is a great actor, but they bring a presence to this movie where some of these movies sometimes feel like the flavor of the week kind of thing. You know, Chris Pratt and blah blah blah, and these are people who were just gooing and gawing over right now. But then we drop in these veteran actors every once in a while, and it fucking really kind of legitimizes the rest of the movie because we're seeing these real actors who we've seen in stuff for decades before. And it's not just Paul Rudd and it's not just Scarlett Johansson. It's people who have powerhouse films and have been in some of the best films of all time. And I think it brings a degree of legitimacy to the movie that kind of
100%.
Oh, okay,
well,
cool word.
If you look at Marvel films, especially like the first phase one, it seems to be like their strategy with casting has been, okay, let's get a no-name or not an A-grade level actor for the lead role, and then let's get a veteran that is like super classy type actor as like the lead supporting role. Like a good example, for example, let's say Thor, for example, right? Chris Hemsworth, pretty much an unknown, but then you got Anthony Hopkins as like the lead support. You know,
That's right. I was thinking of Hopkins
in Captain America, the first one. We've got Chris Evans, not exactly a big name, but then you had Tommy Lee Jones as one of the main supports. You know, and there's 1,000 other examples I could give.
Tom Holland, Michael Keaton, right?
Yeah, there you go. Robert Downey Jr., who was like kind of on a slump at the moment, and then you had him with
Jeff Bridges.
Yes, that's the name I was looking for.
He's the dude, man.
Yeah, and then Sam Jackson, I think for Marvel at the time. For Marvel, Sam Jackson was a big get. Like they would have been over the roof, I think, to have Sam Jackson in for such a huge contract as well. But getting back to this film,
Fury meets with. I'm just gonna call him Redford. I'm not even gonna call him by his character name because he's fucking Redford. Fury meets with Redford and asks him to delay Project Insight, and grudgingly Redford accepts, but Iron Man has to do a flyover at his niece's birthday party.
Not a flyover. He's got to do a meet and greet.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Yes. How did I fuck that up?
He has to mingle.
Jesus, the one thing that he asked for, like I fucked it up. All right. And then we get this scene at the VA hospital. This is cool, man. Like we get a bit more backstory into Falcon, like how he's talking about how an RPG kind of knocked out his mate out of the sky and things like that. It's really cool that comes into it a bit later. He's still a soldier. Just the character development of this movie is just absolutely incredible,
Right. I do want to interject one thing, and I'm not going to talk about this forever, but I do believe there's, like, in the comic books, I think at one point, Sam actually does become Captain America, and so does Bucky. At some point, Captain always dies. He's died 15 million times, but the cool thing about this is they're both... And even though Captain America has been frozen for so long, he's still grieving, and so is Sam. And they're both kind of finding each other in that grief. I think that's a great scene because Sam has lost somebody. He's lost his wingman. Captain's lost Bucky. They're kind of building a relationship, not just off of their loss, but like, hey, you lost someone, I lost someone. We found each other from that loss. But I could have totally seen this movie going on with Sam kind of becoming like the Bucky kind of thing. But I could they pair up together really well. That's all I really wanted to say. I don't want to talk about that forever.
No, I completely 100% agree, man. We've been waiting. Actually, I'm pretty sure fans of the comics have been waiting for Chris Evans to bite the dust. If that wasn't going to happen in Infinity War, it's probably going to happen in number 4. So, it'll be really cool to see Sam or Bucky take the mantle as Captain America. But yeah, after that, we get this pretty fucking standout action sequence.
Holy shit.
Dude, this thing is fucking awesome. It starts off with Fury pulling up alongside these cops. Want to see my lease? He's so cool, man. He's basically Jules.
Yeah.
from Pulp Fiction, right? But yeah, he's kind of boxed in, and just can we talk about the tension here? Like the way the music kind of ramps up this entire sequence, and you see these kind of like this SWAT team kind of like pile out of this van. It's sort of like we haven't seen action like this done in the MCU before. It feels a bit like Heat. I kind of get a Heat vibe from this. Do you? Like
no, dude, for sure, yeah.
It's
kind of like in this like urban environment, like, you know what I mean? Like it just feels so Heat-esque.
I just feel like 90s action films. That's the vibe I get, except done like in a modern way.
Yeah. I was like, as I was watching it, because I've actually been playing a little bit of this game lately, but I sat there and I was like, I feel like this is Nick Fury playing Grand Theft Auto 5. Like this is him in the car. Like this is Jules from Pulp Fiction and Grand Theft Auto 5, because but somehow he goes from like 1 star to like 6 stars like that. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, dude, because I've been playing that recently, and I'm like, God, yeah, dude, put it in reverse. Come on, shoot out the window. You know what to do. Come on, dude. But it's crazy you say Heat, because so much of Grand Theft Auto is actually based off of Heat, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, for
okay,
sure.
cool. So that's crazy. We both drew different parallels from very similar things.
Yeah.
What's great
not to
about-
mention.
Oh, sorry.
No, go, Matt.
What's great
Go,
about the tension building, I just want to go into this real quick, but the tension building here, we've gotten little hints and clues something's going up with S.H.I.E.L.D. throughout the film. But this is the first action moment where something happens, you know? Now Hydra's starting to do this stuff. We don't know why. Why are the police attacking one of the heads of S.H.I.E.L.D.? It's like, so you got this little bit of element of like what's going on, but I love how we've had these little clues, these little breadcrumbs building up, and then this happens, and you're like, oh, fuck. And then I'm watching it realizing, oh, shit, I've never seen Nick Fury in an action scene before, other than the time that he blew up a plane with a rocket launcher in Avengers for 2 seconds. Like, and we see all the S.H.I.E.L.D. technology and the things they do in this car throughout the rest
The
of
battering
scene.
ram?
Oh, so fucking cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
So cool.
It's cool. But I wanted to talk about this fucking SUV for a second.
Yes.
Jesus Christ,
I
man!
want one.
Shield have some fucking crazy technology. Like, you know, apparently this thing was actually supposed to fly, but the Russos were like, "Nah, we're not fucking putting that shit in."
Thank God.
That's why you get that kind of like that little moment where it's just kind of like fucked up. But yeah, he leads these cops on a fucking merry chase. These cops just aren't attacking him. These guys are trying to absolutely murder this guy.
Mm-hmm.
They go at him so hard, man. But then we get this amazing reveal of the Winter Soldier. Like this was incredible. Just this, like, the music drops out, and then you kind of get this score, this ominous kind of like sort of vocal, but not really a vocal. And then he fires this weapon at him, and it just blows up the bottom of his car. And the way the Winter Soldier just casually steps aside, it's just amazing.
It reminds me of the Joker in The Dark Knight, where
Yeah,
he's shooting at
yeah,
the Batmobile
absolutely.
and stuff.
Except the Winter Soldier just looks more hinged, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you know,
He's there for
the
a
Joker's
mission.
unhinged.
He's
Yeah,
there for
for
a
sure.
mission. He's gonna kill you, and
For sure. Not to mention these are like practical effects, right? This guy's got a fucking SUV sliding like to him, and he just steps to the side just casually. Like, yeah, for sure. In superhero movies, it's much easier task to put a stuntman in place of your actor, because you know they've got masks and shit. But still, man, this is such a cool stunt. Like, you know, it's very understated. It's an awesome like trailer shot, I think, and they definitely played it up in the trailers.
the entire scene is so great. Like the reveal of Winter Soldier is just breathtaking. The joke about what is operational? Air conditioning is operational. Like that's funny. And then like that the whole way they're building the integrity of the windows, it's like integrity at whatever percent as the battering rams come. Like it just keeps building and building and building, which is why I feel the way that Nick Fury gets out of the situation is a little bit of a cheap. Like it's a little like, come on, like you couldn't come up with anything better. Where he gets some like little Bernie thingy, and he just cuts a hole in the floor.
It is, but I guess they did have to set it up for the next time they use it. So.
They probably in the writers' room were like, have this amazing scene, and then just like, okay, so this is where he dies, and they're like, shit, wait, we need him to talk to Cap first, and it's like, well, how do we get him out of this scene? Like, I wish they came up with something else, but I guess Nick Fury had to find a way to escape because he had to be the one to reveal to Cap what was going on.
100%.
Which goes to the next scene, which is also fucking great.
Well, we're getting to it. Well, before that, though, we get a quick meeting with Sharon Carter. It's not obviously it's not revealed that it's Sharon Carter yet, but you know, just a girl who's just, you know, his neighbor,
Right.
neighbor, Jesus Christ. And then, you know, Steve realizes something's wrong as he walks into the apartment, and who's sitting there? Nick Fury, all fucked up. This is cool, man. This is cool. I like this. Feels like a spy movie, like right here. Like, you know what I mean? Like just the way he's kind of like typing it out on the phone and like showing him the phone, like you know, be careful. And then he stands up and he takes three rounds to the fucking torso. Like it's fucking crazy. And then, dude, we probably get, this is short, but this is my second favorite moment in this movie. Like this chase through the building is fucking awesome, man. You see these kind of like side-on shots of like Chris Evans like busting through the doors and shit like that, man. And he looks up and you can see like the Winter Soldier just kind of running on the roof.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And then we get my absolute favorite moment in this movie. Cap throws a shield. Fucking Bucky turns around, catches it with one hand, and throws it back. Dude, that shit is fucking awesome.
Dude, not only that, he moves Captain America. Like, he throws it so hard that even him catching it, like, moves him back. Like, I think that shows something to not only have caught your weapon, it's like catching Wolverine's claws. Like, not only did you catch this weapon one-handed, you sent it back and with force enough to move him. It's like, oh shit. Like, that's kind of it kind of rings to this. There's a really great Captain America comic. I can't remember which one it is, but he has a fantastic monologue where he's like, sometimes, the world is wrong and you have to be the one to stand there and say, no, you move. And to have that kind of mentality and see him physically get moved is like very intimidating.
100%, man.
They
do.
But go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, the close up on Bucky's eyes, like Stan does such a good job with his eyes here.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of see the pain and torment, but he's still like, he's still determined, Oh god, I can't get over this scene. This is my absolute favorite scene.
Sebastian Stan, you mean? I was going to say, you mean not Mark Hamill?
Not Mark Hamill.
Man, I just want to highlight that the fact they spent 3 movies setting up to, if Captain America throws his shield, bad guy goes down. And this is the first time where that doesn't happen. We just see it grabbed. And it's like, it's a breaking of the rules. It's such an oh my god moment because something happens that's not supposed to happen, and it's such a crazy moment, man. Like, it's such a if you tell me to pick the 5 most iconic moments of the MCU, that's going to be in the top 5 for sure.
I do have a quick question. What is the Winter Soldier's arm made out of? Is that adamantium? Is that vibranium? Like, what is that? Does anybody know?
No, I think it's just metal.
Is it just metal?
I think in the comics it's adamantium, but they can't mention it in the movies because it's an X-Men
right, shit,
but
yeah.
in Infinity War, they're replaced with vibranium.
Okay, cool. There we go. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
Because in Civil War it gets blasted off. So, but we cut to Black Widow arriving to the hospital. They do spend a lot of time on Nick Fury kind of like dying and things like that, and them grieving. I think it's, to me, it's the weakest part of the movie for me because he just comes back anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you're not. But on your first watch, you're not supposed to know that. If that makes sense.
No, you're not. But it feels cheap. I think it's a bit cheap.
Honestly,
what do you...
I kind of agree with you for one reason only. I get they couldn't kill him off because he has a contract or whatever. But what has Sam Jackson as Nick Fury done in the Marvel films since this? Basically nothing. He's not in Civil War. He's in Ultron for like a cameo where he doesn't really do much other than bring a heli character. But you could have just said Jarvis did or some shit. Like, he's barely in Infinity War. Like, sure, okay, maybe he's the connective tissue for Captain Marvel. But like, after this film, his character kind of just starts to disappear.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
What do you think, Collin?
About that? Oh, I think that's a really, really good point. I didn't think about that at all, and I think that it's
like it might have been better if he just died.
Yeah, I think because I agree with that, like halfway, and I halfway don't, because nobody obviously wants to see. I mean, this is a character when they redid their Marvel characters in the early 2000s. The creators of Nick Fury literally based him off of Samuel L. Jackson, and like the whole everything about him was based off of Samuel L. Jackson. So, and Samuel L. Jackson found out, and that's kind of how he fell into the role. We don't want to see him die. We really don't, because Nick Fury is a fucking badass. He's a bad motherfucker, but. at the same time, this is a comic book movie, and this is a comic book universe, and people do not stay dead. Like, we know that. We should know better than that watching this. If this is the second Captain America movie, we've had, Iron Man, Iron Man 2, and just the plethora of, X-Men films, Batman, all of this stuff from years before. We know this motherfucker's not dead. Like, I knew it watching it the first time. I was like, bullshit. Like, bullshit. Like, they'll do something where he's a clone made by Stark or blah blah blah. They'll do something. They take him to the fucking Lazarus pit from Batman and bring him back alive. Like, they're gonna do something, and it. So it's kind of, it would have been better if he did die. We don't want to see that, but it's better. It's better because we don't want to see that. Like, we know that he's gonna come right back. But had he not just bounced right back, it's kind of like, with the ending of Infinity War, like, we know that most of those things are not permanent. So it is incredible to watch, and it is heartbreaking, especially with the scenes between Iron Man and Spider-Man, but we know at the end of the day that most of these are not going to be permanent. So it does kind of like, dude, don't fucking, it's like robbing somebody with a fake gun. It's like, seriously, dude, like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't believe that. I'm not threatened by that.
Bro, I agree with you, but like, I really want the movies to aim higher. I want them to have deaths that stick, so stakes stick around. Because I feel like this film started a trend with Marvel films of characters dying and then, they're not dead by the end. Like, another great example would be, shit, I just had it and I lost it.
Matt, we can't stay on this.
Okay, but basically, it is a trend.
It's nice
in the
to hear
films.
it, but
it is a trend in the films, and I want people to, when they die, they stay dead, if possible.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, then we meet Black Widow, right?
Well, actually, before that, I just want to say, what if like 5 people buy grape Hubba Bubbas? in the vending machine. Like,
This is
what I mean?
This is my biggest problem with the film, to be honest.
Like, it's a bit,
It's
like,
product placement-y, but like, I want you to guys imagine.
No, I don't care about that. Like, I don't give a shit about product placement.
No,
the practical part.
I want you to just like close your eyes. Just let me paint a scene for you. Let me just imagine, okay? So you're Steve Rogers. You're in a busy hospital. You have this like USB thumb drive you've got to hide, and you see. And you go, shit, if I have it on me, if someone comes after me, they're going to get it. I got to find a place to hide it. Then from the corner of your eye, you go, aha, I see a vending machine. I'm going to put it in the vending machine. So then everyone in a busy hospital walk around, watches you take out a screwdriver, unscrew the machine, pull the thing apart,
it was
flip
being
through
changed.
a couple grape rubber bubbers, put it in. Like, how does it get behind 5 grape Hubba Bubbas?
No, because the guy was restocking it when he saw it.
Excuse me, sir. Can I please put this in there? Like, how does he get out
why
later? Does he break the machine?
Why not give it to Natasha or Maria Hill, who he's worked
don't
with
trust anyone. That's Nick Fury's last words.
He hasn't cleared them yet.
But
like,
I do. It's a good point.
It's
It's fucking sloppy. It's fucking sloppy. Like, I get it. Like, you're not supposed to trust anybody, but I mean, for God's sakes, you're Captain America. Like, take it somewhere else. Put it underneath the vending machine. For God's sakes, like, don't put it in plain
stick your tape
view.
at the bottom of the vending machine. Hide it in like the roof somewhere. Maybe just put it like in the inside of a toilet roll. So I don't know. Just like, I just wish there was a fucking scene where they filmed it where he's just like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, that's funny to me, right?
All right, you little fucking nitpickers. Let's move on. I'm kidding. I'm the one that brought this up. But yeah, look. Cap's called back to the Triskelion, which is the SHIELD headquarters. We get this little cute moment between him and Sharon Carter as they're like walking past. But yeah, this is like just a conversation with Redford's character. Basically, Redford is just telling him, he's telling him about Batroc and like how Batroc's been captured and things like that. But basically, he's putting Nick in a bad light, right? Like he's saying that he's not who he thought he was.
Yeah, he's speaking ill of the dead.
Yeah, that's a fucking big no-no. But anyway, this is essentially the big sort of schism moment, like the moment where, you know, Redford realizes that, oh shit, Cap's not going to play along, so what are we going to do? We're going to fucking fight fire with fire, I guess.
Bad idea.
Really goes in that those themes of espionage and stuff well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's great because it's it's playing on, you know, here's Robert Redford, who right away we're supposed to, you know, kind of he's likable. You know, he is somewhat defiant of the people of the council that's around him. He plays kind of favorites with Nick. You know, we see that we feel like he's on our side right away. It's Robert Redford. You know, he's a likable guy. He's very likable. We don't expect him to kind of come out where he is at the end of the movie. But at the same time, I think it is great because, you know, here's this scene with Captain America, and, you know, he gives him fair warning. You know, he's like, hey, you know, don't fuck with me, dude. But I don't really think Robert Redford knows who he's fucking with, to be completely honest. Right. This is an extremely resourceful man that we're talking about. We're talking about someone who crashed a plane and survived in the Arctic for fucking almost a century. You know, you are underestimating your opponent. That's rule number one.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I just want to bring up, and it's just a minor thing that I do enjoy about it, is a lot of these scenes we see with Redford, we see him conversing with the World Security Council, which we first see, I believe, in Avengers, with Nick Fury talking to them. And I love this idea, and I wish they dived into it more. But in this world, in the Marvel world, one thing that's different to us is there's this overarching Illuminati sort of powers that overlook the world and stuff. And I really like that idea of it's the hierarchy. I want to know what happened to them after S.H.I.E.L.D. goes down, you know, and stuff like that. I wish we dived more into that in other films. I wish that was in Civil War, for example, or maybe we get a taste of that in Avengers 4 or whenever these big world events happen. But I really like this element of the film because it gives you this nice little this vibe about security and surveillance, and it really taps into themes as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're moving on. We get to this fucking crazy, awesome elevator sequence. Yes. Again, the tension that the Russo brothers managed to build is amazing. We see the strike team, level by level, more people trying to get onto start to get onto the elevator, and Cap starts to notice things. One guy's got his hand on his weapon, his taser sort of weapon. He sees this other guy sweating profusely because wouldn't you sweat when you know you're about to take down Captain America?
Or try.
You would. I wouldn't be looking at his head. I'd be looking at his pants because I'd shit myself, right? Jesus Christ! What the fuck is that smell? Number one. But yeah, this fucking action sequence is fucking dope. I love this contained sort of fight. It's so well done. Frank Grillo, I guess, is the sort of the ringleader here. He's sort of asking Cap, we found this evidence, blah blah. Should we do more with it? And Cap's like, no, blah blah. But yeah, Grillo's awesome. But the first person to do the strike is Callan Mulvey's character. Talk to me about the scene, guys.
Well, my experience watching it first time, I didn't pick up, I don't know what was wrong with me or whatever, but I didn't pick up there was something super subtle. I get there was something going on. Cap was noticing something, but I didn't think it was what it was. To me, this fight scene came out of nowhere in the coolest way possible, because when he goes, so before we start, does anybody want to get off? They all look surprised, and it's but awesome. I was surprised too. It's oh shit, is that what he? Oh damn! And it's in such a confined space. The tension is so high because it's not like he can just do a backflip out of there or something. And oh man, it's such a badass line. And it's great that he can still be this Boy Scout sort of character and still give a fucking kick-ass one-liner, you know? So good. And then when they start trying to put his arms against the wall, it makes sense because if you want to fight a guy that's strong, you're going to want to find a way to restrain him. And just the way they work with the choreography in the scene is fucking cool, man.
Yeah, they're not trying to punch him out. Nobody in there has any expectations about punching him out. Like no one's. I mean, it's not like we have fucking Superman in the elevator with us to help us fight him. It's all about there's non-lethal weapons. It's all tasers. I love Frank Grillo. Hey, it's not personal, Cap. And dude, the way he dispatches him, just slams him into the fucking roof and drops him back down. It feels personal. I was like, okay, that's really great. That whole exchange.
Cool. And when he kicks the shield up like a fucking skateboard and catches it at the end, woo, man, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, awesome, for sure. I kind of want to navigate us into this scene strictly because it is probably my least favorite scene of the movie.
Hit us.
The scene of him leaving, and we have the not the helicarrier, but just this kind of attack, whatever attack ship, and him on the motorcycle. I love him on the motorcycle. I think it's great. I think it's really
fucking badass.
It's really iconic. Especially him just on the bike, it makes so much sense. But bringing down the whole fucking ship by himself, is like, dude, come on. I kind
of dug that.
I gotta disagree with you hard. First of all, we skipped over. I just got to mention how cool it is of how he jumped out of the elevator and landed with the shield. But bro, him taking the helicarrier down, for me, that was the one moment of the film where like, oh, okay, we're finally seeing Steve Rogers at like 100%, That's him being a super, super soldier. Yes, it is ridiculous, right? But he was built to be a one-man army. Like, you got to remember, in the first film, he saved like 1,000 people from, I don't know, some Nazi camp or whatever. But like, how he jumps off it, he takes it down with all that. I think it's kind of cool. CGI's little, the animation of that is a little, like, how's it going? Is it ridiculous? Yes. But is that why I think it's cool? Fuck yes.
See, for me, it's not about what happens in the scene. It's how the Russos have presented it. I'm watching it now. Like, I love the shot of Captain America on the bike, and then all you see is like, whew, like the Quinjet just flying fucking past, and then like going to the other side of him, and the way the music is built up here, and then it just kind of crescendos as he lands, and the thing just explodes behind him. It's just fucking awesome to me, man. Like it's just such a good time.
I just like how it keeps the motion going. It's all like one movement. Like, he's still pushing forward as he does it.
I will say as my rebuttal. Fuck both of you. No, I'm just kidding. It's the only thing that takes me out of it a little bit. There's just when we're in a movie that does so well, the political and the espionage and the almost like realistic implications of what Captain America is when he enters this world. It took me out of it a little bit when he falls all the way from the elevator and just kind of hits the ground and grunts for like 3 seconds and gets up and runs off. Like, I get it. Now,
even though he hit the shield first, is that still
even though he hit the shield first? Because here I am. I'm thinking Civil War now, because now we've seen Civil War. The fight scene between he and Cap, by the end of that, he's fucking spitting up blood, and it's definitely getting his ass beat. Now, like, don't get me wrong. It's Iron Man, and Iron Man can definitely throw a punch in that suit, but he's not throwing a punch harder than a fucking 9-story fall, dude. Like, come on. Like, that's the only thing that really kind of took me out of it, you suspend so much belief for so long, obviously, when you're watching Captain America movie, but at the same time, like, I just give me a little bit. Give me him like spitting up blood. Give me him like coughing up something. Give me something like that to show that he is human. Because now I'm not relating to him as much because he's just so invulnerable. You take a fucking 10-story dive, get up and get on a motorcycle and fly off and then take down this this jet. That's where it kind of starts to take me out of it a little bit. But it's only because I'm an asshole. That's really the only reason why.
Good argument. I'm coming around a little bit. I still think it's cool. I still think it's really cool. Thing. But yeah.
All right, guys. You guys fucking all right over there? You need me to break this up? You guys good?
Yeah.
No, but we get this quick cut back to Sitwell giving the the rest of the Shield agents, their sort of orders and mission, whatever your op is, bury it. He wants surveillance everywhere, just so they can find Cap. And then we get Cap going back to the hospital to retrieve the USB. And what did you expect? What did you expect? It's not there, you little bitch. You put it in a goddamn fucking vending machine. It's gone.
And Black Widow's been waiting for him for like 2 days or something to come back when she found it?
No, she probably followed him. I don't really care about that. But it turns out Black Widow's the one who took it because she's chewing gum. Pretty cool reveal, I think, and really subtle. But then she tells him about the Winter Soldier. She shows off her scar, which I paused it at and stared off a little bit more. Because
bye bikinis.
Bye bikinis.
I'm sure you look terrible in them now.
But yeah, she talks about her little brush with the Winter Soldier earlier. Boys, what do you think about taking a break around here?
That sounds good to me, man.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll be right back. We're gonna, take a piss, shake our dicks a little bit, refill our drinks, and we'll be back.
Word.
I'm sure everyone wanted to know that.
Rogers. You've heard a lot about me over the last few days. Some of you were even ordered to hunt me down.
But I think it's time you know the truth. S.H.I.E.L.D. is not what we thought it was. It's been taken over by Hydra.
Alexander Pierce is their leader. The Strike and Insight crew are Hydra as well. I don't know how many more.
But I know they're in the building.
They could be standing right next to you. They almost have what they want. Absolute control.
They shot Nick Fury.
And it won't end there.
If you launch those helicarriers today,
Hydra will be able to kill anyone that stands in their way.
Unless we stop them. I know I'm asking a lot. But the price of freedom is high. It always has been. And it's a price I'm willing to pay. And if I'm the only one, then so be it. But I'm willing to bet I'm not.
Hey guys, we're back. We are back and rolling. Our bladders are empty. Our drinks are fucking full. But yeah, we're gonna jump right back into it. This is some pretty comedic stuff here. This is Black Widow and Captain America just in the mall. They go to the Apple store to try and figure out what the fuck's going on with this USB.
Cameo by what's his name? I think it's.
Do you know who this guy
Pearson.
is? I don't know.
Yeah, so that guy, he is from a sketch group called Derek Comedy, where famed actor Donald Glover got his start. So
shit, I did not know that.
It was, so this guy with the beard and the long hair, him, Donald Glover, and this other guy, they used to run this online sketch comedy group called Derek Comedy. Fucking hilarious stuff. If you're a fan of like Donald Glover's character Troy in Community, it's just basically him doing that in like craziest scenarios. And so like when I saw this, and this dude's not in a lot of stuff, so I think it's some sort of weird. Maybe it's some sort of like, because I know he was in another episode of Community as well. So like maybe it was something about the Russos trying to throw in a little cameo, because they did the same with what's his name? He plays Abed.
Don't say it. We'll get there.
Yeah. But I think this is a little nod, I think, by including him here. Yeah. Either way, it's a funny scene.
It's cool. So they see the strike team basically looking for them in the shopping center. They pretend to be a couple. They get a little smoochy. Who else thought that Captain America and Black Widow were going to be a thing?
Yeah.
Did you think that?
I did, and that's why I was sort of like a little bit when they paired her up with the Hulk in Age of Ultron, because I'm like, come on, don't throw her around to every one of the group guys. Like,
fucking whore.
It really felt like they were trying to build chemistry between them. This is like an awkward way to sort of like build to that. But then again, I guess it is within Black Widow's character to do by any means necessary whatever she can to. Cause she's a spy. You would do things like that. I've heard of things like about secret agents will often pick their nose in public because people don't want to look at that and it'll divert attention away from them. So kissing to like divert someone's eyes, maybe. I guess.
Well, I think it's pretty natural because I don't look at PDA. Like I find it weird. Like, you know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah, it's just so awkward, dude. It's so fucking awkward.
I look at that.
I don't.
Some mad creep in sweatpants.
You fucking creep.
I got real close on the mic on that one. No, I think that I don't ship them at all because we've got Captain America who is honest, who is he doesn't really hold anything back. He is who he is, and I mean, Black Widow's whole life is really, I mean, like you said, by any means necessary. That means becoming a different person, doing different things. I think that. I definitely see her, and because I think a lot of people kind of shipped, a lot of people shipped her and Hawkeye, but Hawkeye's married and has a family, which we don't find out until later. But it makes sense with Banner because they're both damaged people. That's what makes more sense about it to me. Like they've been through a lot.
Yeah, you know what? You got me. You sold me. It's truth, justice, American way versus Russian lies, spy. Yeah, I don't. Right. They're kind of the bipolar opposites, aren't they?
Right, exactly. Right. If Captain America is going to come up and punch you in the face, he's literally like in the elevator. If anybody wants to get out, blah, blah, blah. Do you think Black Widow would have done that? No fucking way. Like she would have just started swinging, and it's just a difference in their characters. It's different in their personalities, their skill sets, their abilities. It's just that's what makes them great though. And that's what makes them a good team is because it's a great dynamic. It's kind of, it's kind of like the tough, serious cop with the kind of buddy comedy almost kind of thing. Not to that degree. I'm not saying this. Seeing them together makes me feel like I'm watching a buddy comedy, but it's a good dynamic between the two of them, and I think that's why people kind of partially start to ship them together. And it's like, no, this would never work.
Collin, mate, that is a great observation, and you just reminded me of something that I got to get off my chest somewhere. There's word that there was an original draft where Hawkeye was going to have a part in this movie. And there was going to be a scene where Hawkeye, working for S.H.I.E.L.D., I think instead of teaming up with him like Black Widow's, he's like, I think he joined Strike or something. And he has a fight scene with Captain America. But then I think, if I remember it correctly, there's going to be a scene where Hawkeye fights Captain America. And throughout that, like they're talking, and Hawkeye realizes that Cap's sort of innocent or something, and so he creates a diversion or something to sort of help him out. But man, that would have been cool. I would love to see something like Hawkeye shooting them arrows and Cap putting out the shield, because it really does seem, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, we meet Hawkeye as a shield operative. We know he's super tight Black Widow. The fact that he's not in this film, it kind of makes you go, where is he? No,
for sure.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
All right, let's move this on. Well, Captain America and Black Widow get a location. Turns out to be Cap's old fucking war training facility, right? Like World War II training facility.
Dun, dun, dun.
When they rock up, we get this little kind of like flashback of Steve kind of looking around and remembering his sort of drill days. It's really beautiful, man. Just the way the music works as well. And old Cap looks at new Cap. It's pretty beautiful. It's just a cool little sort of little sequence, man. We kind of like think that this guy's been through so much shit, right?
Yeah. It's also planting the seeds for Bucky's reveal later on.
100%, for sure. But basically, they find a S.H.I.E.L.D. facility. They go all the way underground. And who do they find down here? Collin.
Well, I can't. For the life of me, I can't remember the actual like character's name. It drives me crazy.
His name's Arnim Zola.
Arnim Zola. That's no wonder I couldn't fucking remember. I know it's Toby something. Toby something is the actor.
Toby Jones.
Thank you. He's in a shit ton of stuff. It's a great actor.
He's in the new Jurassic World.
Oh, okay. I don't give a fuck about that, but no, I'm just kidding.
It's all right. No, you don't. Hey, Colin, you shouldn't. You don't give a fuck. Seriously.
It did kind of throw me off a little bit, not in a bad way. Like I just didn't really see that reveal coming. The fact that, but it is nice because we've got something kind of like a holdover from the first movie. We've got an enemy who's still around. That's not,
like a connection. Yeah.
Right, yeah. We're not just totally severing our ties to something that happened, 60, 70, 80 years ago. We're actually, we still have something kind of attached to it. But basically, they've uploaded his consciousness into, like, I guess a computer system, kind of like AI. I guess that's basically what happened. Because he was a member of Project Paperclip, which actually totally was a real thing. After the Second World War, the U.S. military intelligence recruited some of the top Nazi scientists from Germany to use them for, basically gather intelligence and see what kind of secrets the Third Reich had, which a lot of people don't know about Project Paperclip, that's actually a real thing, and a lot of people have had some serious problems with it, which I understand. These people were Nazis. They instituted part of the Holocaust and stuff, so it is kind of like one of those things that's just very, like, hush-hush, like we don't talk about Project Paperclip, and a lot of people don't know about it, but it actually is a real thing.
I totally didn't know about it, and I'm very fascinated by World War II as a sort of era, and like that totally just fucking blew me away. Just what you just said now,
yeah.
It's fucking cool, man. But yeah,
boys,
no, go on.
This fucking scene,
it's cool, man.
Oh my god, bro, this is
cool.
Like, this is one of those moments in the cinema. I was like, it's one of those few moments in the Marvel universe where I'm jumping out of my seat, like, what? Hydra the whole time? I've been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I've been watching this, I've been that, and this reveal, man, it changes everything. It changes
definitely
the Marvel
cool, yeah.
universe, it changes the characters, and it's also, we're getting Harmon and Zola back from the first film, and it's also a little nod, because in the comics, he does upload himself into like a robot sort of consciousness, and apparently the writers originally wanted to do a scene where he does come out in like sort of like some sort of machine that you can control, but they decided that was a little too cheesy, and I'm glad they didn't do it.
For sure.
But like, and then they start tying it into real world events, and they're like, we were there planting the seeds for your destruction or whatever, and it's so sinister and evil. He's like, humanity made it so easy for us, and for me, it's like learning about the Matrix. It's like, oh shit, like, Hydra's real. This explains everything in reality. Like, this is why the world's gone to shit. It was planned all along on some Illuminati crap. And
some still believe the Hydra is still fucking controlling real world shit because Donald Trump is your president, Colin.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you.
Low blow.
Well, yeah, and it's especially low blow because my state, Tennessee, I mean, it's like 90% Republican. That's like all it fucking is. But one thing
I can see Trump like you know what? Hail Hydra. They're absolutely get a bad rap. Everybody knows it. They get a bad rap.
Hydra is the greatest. Hydra is the greatest thing that's ever happened. I don't even know what S.H.I.E.L.D. is. I don't use shields because I am an amazing person. I don't need a shield. I'm incredible. No,
S.H.I.E.L.D. are losers, okay? Nobody likes S.H.I.E.L.D. It's old news.
I do.
Hydra's bad. It's fake news. Sorry. Oh, dude, that's hilarious. I want to see that happen.
I do love what Zola says, that basically he realized that that you could not take a person's freedom away. That they have to give it up. And basically, we have scared the world into giving up its freedom, and it's constantly being watched by Big Brother. It's turning into 1984 by George Orwell. It's becoming this thing where you take a shit and you flush it, and we see it. And it's kind of interesting because that is very true with a lot of stuff. We've got dash cams, body cams, we've got red light cameras. We're constantly being watched by stuff, and that's strictly out of like a fear-based thing. I am afraid that someone's going to hit my car or do something stupid, so I get a dash cam. It makes sense in a lot of ways, and that Hydra is manipulating that with. I would have liked to have seen like what impact Hydra really had on like historical events, like they assassinated JFK, or maybe they started blah blah blah. They were responsible for a lot of terrible things happening because people had to willingly give up control of their own security to someone else, to just be like, you know what, I'm terrified of this. I need you to take care of it for me. And it's that is a good reveal. I do think that a lot of this exposition and stuff, you know, this is a very tropey kind of superhero thing.
It's a dump.
Right. It's, you know, here I am, the supervillain, and I'm going to unleash my master plan on you, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's the only thing I didn't like about it, but at the same time, it was a good reveal.
In its defense, he does reveal the reason why he's giving it away is because he's stalling. He's like, I'm afraid I've been stalling, Captain, because the missile's coming. But, like, most films who do this generic trope don't bother to cover it up with something like that. It's just like... It's just some James Bond villain twirling his mustache. But to quickly, to tie back to what you were saying, like, what's so fucking great about this concept of them being always there is at the time the NSA stuff was going down, and was like so socially relevant. And if you want to look even recently, as to just like a few months ago, look at all the shit going down with Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg going to Congress. That's a very similar concept. And other films have tried to attempt this, but to nowhere's great success. Like, you look at something like Terminator Genesis, and they're like, people have have allowed us into their homes, into their devices, so we're able to be there and control everything. But if you look at Terminator Genesis compared to the Winter Soldier, I think, hands down, everyone's going to pick Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so well executed.
There's also another thing here that I want to talk about. Probably when you saw it, you were like, holy shit, I can't wait to see this in a movie. Fucking a quick flash of Bucky being responsible for killing Tony Stark's parents. It's not until Civil War that we realize, oh shit, they're going to flesh this out. Like, they're going to flesh out the story of Bucky killing Tony Stark's parents. Like, it's cool. Like, you do actually get the reveal of that in this before that movie.
Do we know what it is when we see it?
Well, we just see Bucky's sort of like kill list, and then it says deceased.
Right.
It kind of smash cuts it together. It kind of lets you assume, like, wait.
Yeah.
Once you know, you'll see it like right away.
For sure, it's pretty cool, man. It's Marvel doing their Easter egg stuff that they're so fucking good at this point. But yeah, we get it. We see a missile just flying in and absolutely leveling the place. Black Widow and Cap take cover. It's a fucking cool explosion, man. I like it. I like the way it builds up. The music, again, the music in this movie is really, really good. We see Black Widow being carried by Steve. They escape moments before Grillo shows up with the strike team. And they unfortunately aren't able to find any bodies. But then we cut over to Redford's house, in probably one of the most sort of spy sequences that you'll see, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just the way the soldier's kind of sitting there, like in the dark, just like covered in the fucking darkness. And the poor maid just happens to walk in at the wrong time, right?
Oh, yeah. I wish you would have knocked.
Yeah, wish you would have knocked, and then fucking bang, she's dead. Yeah. It's a fucking dark moment. Like, this is what I was talking about, Matt, in our Ant-Man sort of review. Like, just kind of like, if you put this next to Ant-Man, you can see the different shades of like darkness there is to the MCU. Like, Ant-Man is their sort of like kids franchise, whereas like I wouldn't show this to a kid. Like, you know what I mean?
This scene, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the reveal that Redford's with Hydra, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, it's such a great reveal, dude. Like, I think it's safe to say that most people probably didn't see this coming. Like, I remember thinking when he was talking about Nick Fury being evil or bad, I didn't think Nick Fury was going to be the bad guy. But I didn't think that Redford was going to be evil. But I didn't think they were going to shut down S.H.I.E.L.D. I didn't think Hydra was coming back. And so this just really adds in it. It's such a great way of building stakes and just making
for sure.
our heroes seem more hopeless. Like, we always talk about how Captain America is like, he's kind of like the Superman of it all with the Boy Scoutness. But the problem with some of these characters who are so much more powerful than the average person is how do you create stakes? And what is more like impactful and more like scary for Captain America to fucking take America away from Captain America? You know, he finds out the whole sort of thing. It's all fucked. His whole military lifestyle and organizations dedicate his life to is actually what he's been fighting against his whole life. And now he's got almost nothing. Not only has he lost his family and everything ever, but like now all this stuff that he's been working for and he believes in his identity is now almost gone. And now it's such a great moment, man, and it's such a great way of writing a character into a corner.
Yeah, for sure.
And the way he bounces back is so dope too. So
for sure. Anyway, so Cap and Black Widow seek out Sam for help. Because they do need some shelter, right? Like everyone's fucking looking for him. It's cool, man. We get fucking hell. You know how in the 90s it was Brad Pitt that you kind of had a man crush on? Well, hello, Chris Evans. You and your fucking man tight singlet. Jesus. that figure hugging singlet. Come on, guys. I'm straight.
Yeah.
You keep telling yourself that.
Yeah, I will. But yeah, basically, talk to me about this, Colin. This is basically they talk about what they need to do. Right.
And they're basically recruiting Falcon at this point. I mean, really, they can't trust anyone. It's literally Nick Fury's last words. They can't trust, anyone who's really associated with S.H.I.E.L.D. And it's great because we've seen just these few scenes with with Sam, and he's not even really Falcon yet. He's just another hero. And they basically go to him and somewhat recruit him. And I love he throws that down. They're like, "What is this? What is this? A file?" He's like, "Call it a resume." They're like, I like that line to line. It's basically just him kind of letting him know, hey, I'm cool. I can be trusted. Obviously, you guys do trust me. You're the one who came to me. I'm not the one who came to you. But it's also a really good scene between Captain America and Black Widow because she has a great line. She's like, when I joined S.H.I.E.L.D., I thought I was going straight, but then I just found out I traded the KGB for Hydra. And what does she say? I'm not even sure whose lies I'm telling anymore. And she, she's talking to Steve and she's asking him, would you trust me now? Like, would you trust me? He's like, I would now, because he's just saying, and literally this is like what we were talking about earlier. She doesn't know who she's lying for anymore. And I love, Captain America's response is, well, I'm always honest. It's like, I love that. That hits home with exactly what we're talking about with the fact that he is always honest and the fact that if he did not trust her, he would be saying so. And it shows a lot that he actually really does trust her in this instance because they're basically, they're basically in the same boat. They have nowhere to go. They have, right. Yeah. The only people that they can trust is each other and Falcon. So I like that a lot. We're kind of, and we see this pairing up as well in Infinity War. It's Falcon, it's Black Widow, and it's Captain. These guys are kind of like the Three Musketeers now of like, I don't know who we're fighting. I don't know who we're fighting for, and I don't know who we're fighting against, but I know I know that you're going to be on my side fighting for the right thing. And they're not putting their faith in organizations anymore. They're putting their faith in people. And that's what's really great. That's kind of, it kind of brings back to what's going on with Captain America, that he doesn't trust the organizations, and that he does trust people, like way deep, deep inside his heart, he trusts people, and he's now found those people that he can trust.
Yeah, Colin, just to piggyback off two things you said there. One, the honesty. Something else that's great with this scene is he doesn't recruit Falcon just like, hey, you want to join? Like, no, like Falcon sort of offers, and like Cap warns him. Like, he doesn't just say, okay, great, we could use some help. No, he's like, he says something like, if you're in this, like, you're in this or something. Like, he try to, I don't know the exact words, but he sort of gives him some warning. Like, he doesn't force him into it. And I really like that because it just shows his authenticity and honestness about it. And the other thing you were saying about, like, the not being able to trust the organization stuff, that like really pairs up Civil War, because that's pretty much the whole theme of Civil War. It's like, this happens, so now we've got to do this, which is again a great way of how Marvel films are just seeding each other's films, and like, you can't write one if the other didn't exist, and also that's probably why half of Civil War just feels like Winter Soldier 2 because it's still dealing with the results of all this cool shit.
For sure.
Yeah.
But look, basically Falcon just says, I didn't say I was a pilot, and he shows him the fucking wings.
Such a cool
It's
scene.
cool.
Yeah.
It is cool, but you don't get the reveal yet. You actually, this is cool, man. We re-meet Gary Shandling, who was in Iron Man 2. Unfortunately, he's just recently passed away. Gary Shandling, he was a comedian. He played this senator that was up against Tony Stark in that movie. He talks about, I got a girl waiting at the hotel room, 23, kind of hot, creep.
Reminds me of a few politicians I can think of, but I won't mention.
Yeah. Well, let's not go into that. Well, we've already fucking named Mr. Grab Your Pussy, kind of. But yeah, this is where you first get the Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's kind of creepy, but kind of like, it's so sinister.
It's fitting. It's very fitting for that character.
Yeah.
100%, man. But then you get the kidnapping of Sitwell.
Jasper.
They end up, Jasper, whatever the fuck, you know. Yeah. They end up on the rooftop. You get the first name drop of Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty fucking cool, man. Like, at this point, this is 2014. Doctor Strange came out in 2016. At this point, it hadn't been announced. Like, it was like, holy shit, how the fuck are they going to do Doctor Strange? Like, because at this point, Marvel were kind of sort of grounded in reality sort of thing. Like, we hadn't had Guardians of the Galaxy yet. That was still a couple months away. So that kind of weirdness was still out of, like, the MCU. So it was still pretty cool, man.
Kevin Feige said, I think it was around the time of release of Doctor Strange, to clear it up, because people were asking questions like, oh, so how are you doing an origin story if they were already looking at Doctor Strange and Winter Soldier? And I don't think they planned this out or anything, but like they I think it was just meant to be a little Easter egg. I don't know if they ever expected to do a Doctor Strange film. You know, Stan Lee's been wanting to do one for fucking 2,000 years, but they sort of justified it with oh no, they'll keep an eye on him because of his breakthroughs in medical research or whatever. It's like, okay, fair enough. But just before that, we get the amazing reveal of Falcon in his suit.
Well, actually, just quickly, I wanted to talk about just again, Colin, what you were talking about, sort of the juxtaposing of Captain America and Black Widow styles. Like, Cap lets him go, but immediately fucking Black Widow just fucking kicks him off the roof.
Right, yeah.
What's he say? He's like, it's not your style. Yeah, but it's hers, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, and it's such a good reveal when Falcon scoops him up and drops him off, and we just see the shadow on the roof of the building as he flies over. It's like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like, what's this guy packing?
It's a cool moment.
Dude, so cool. So cool.
It's a cool moment. But basically, Sitwell just unveils a plan, right? He tells him the helicarriers are going to wipe out everyone who's a threat to Hydra, right? Fucking mass genocide. You know, it talks about how technology, social media, it's all going to be used against us. Zola taught Hydra how to read fucking technology and everything like that. So bank records, everything that's digitized is going to be used against us. It's an outlandish but not very outlandish idea, because, you know, I was watching Black Mirror the other day, and Black Mirror is basically all about that shit. So
it's based in reality.
100%.
If I can throw something out there, because this is the reveal of the Falcon suit, and maybe there's some sort of logic behind it that I've missed out. This is, again, super ultra nitpicky, but so correct me if I'm wrong, but so Falcon, he used to work for this military offsuit, whatever, right? Where they had this thing. He had a partner who also, I think, had the same suit. I think that's implied. And they had to steal it from that base for him to get it again. But, you know, unlike other superheroes where it's like, oh, they've made their own stuff or they've got their own power, like, what's stopping them, S.H.I.E.L.D. or Hydra, from later on in future movies, I guess, making 20 more Falcon suits, and they have like 30 Falcons to fight the Avengers, you know? Like,
I don't know.
why isn't there more of these suits flying around?
I don't know. I
and they're
think
probably-
that's kind of
That's probably
for me.
digging
That's
too deep.
overthinking it. I think.
It might be digging a bit too deep, but yeah, it's not like he's Tony Stark. He built it himself or anything. Either way, it's still a cool suit.
both me and Colin are like silent.
Well, like I see the point
This is
because
that crazy.
I definitely see the point because it's like, well, this thing has been created once. Obviously, it's successful. How is this not created again? And I don't know if it's one of those things where it's just like lightning in a bottle, like with Captain America. They're not able to reproduce it a second time for whatever reason. Like there might be some outstanding like logistical things like we just don't know from behind the scenes. But it is a fair point, though. It is kind of like, yeah, why aren't there like 15 different Iron Mans? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. But yeah,
No, I
like,
agree.
at least with Iron Man 2, like they justify why there aren't 100 other Iron Man suits. It's because no one else can make them for some reason. But,
Right.
Yeah, it's super nitpicky. It's stupid, but I want to just throw that out there.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Fucking. This action sequence, this entire thing right here. Holy shit.
Yes.
This fucking... Okay, think about this, Matt. Well, Colin, I'm sure you can relate as well. You're driving along the highway, just fucking chilling. Some fucker decides to jump on your roof and rip out your fucking steering wheel. What the
Dickhead,
fuck
you
do
gonna
you
pay
do?
for that?
Dude, yeah, because I was thinking about that, and I was just like, what in God's name, because they've kind of already pumped the e-brake a few times and thrown them off the hood and kind of done that trick and stuff. But it's like, dude, how the fuck do you how do you even deal with that? What do you do? Just put it in cruise control? Like, what the fuck do you do? Like,
It's pretty cool, man. It plays the sort of relentless fucking nature of the Winter Soldier. Like I've never seen a guy in a movie just fucking rip off a steering wheel like that. Like, and seeing Sam's reaction to that, like, what the fuck do I do? Like, it just like just you see like a kind of like a split second reaction like of him like being like, what the fuck? What just happened?
It's very Terminator-ish, like the way Winter Soldier is in the scene, which is I think one of the reasons why he's so fucking badass.
Yeah, man. But I also like the way they exit the car as well, like that slow motion sort of like, just that shot of like them exiting through the door as it falls away. It's fucking cool, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention that this is mostly all practical. Like this is like a car that's actually fucking, spinning its way down the highway, and it's just from here it's just mayhem. Like
Bro.
you get.
This is a fucking scene right here.
Yeah, man. I love the way the guy just hands him the grenade launcher. He's just like, he doesn't even have to ask for it. He's just like, fucking give it to me.
Yeah, right. He's just like, hand me my gun, bitch.
Yeah, man. Cap takes a grenade to the shield. He goes fucking flying off into a bus.
So cool.
It's fucking crazy, man. Like I said, it's all just fucking mayhem from here. I can't get over this scene. This is just...
Let me just explain to you what's going to happen in the next couple minutes. It's just you're just going to describe the scene, and I'm just going to be like, "That's cool. That's also cool. I love
literally.
that part."
Right,
This
yeah.
scene
Just
is so
literally.
fucking
greatly
awesome.
summarized. Just this whole scene is fucking awesome.
I'm trying to. It's just like there's like moments of it where I do like want to like boil down on it though. Like, okay, for example, I love Natasha's kind of like little sort of decoy with the phone.
Yeah.
Like that's cool, man. But just even just before that, the guy with the fucking massive machine gun, and as Cap kind of like has to sort of like point his shield to each of the guys to kind of get like fuck them up. It's cool, man.
You know what? I'm going to throw this out there. Mr. Nitpicky's back. I feel the same thing about Wonder Woman as I do Captain America here. Every time I see like that massive machine gun coming out and someone's got a shield, I just think, how come no one shoots the legs? I know it's
that's true.
I know it's nitpicky.
It's comic book shit.
But it's comic book shit, yeah. But it's also
I love
really
that.
fucking... This scene's
I
so
love,
fucking
like,
cool though, because the pressure they're being put on.
I love like the Jedi deflection of like bullets that he's got going on, like knocking
Yeah,
people
man.
back with their own bullets.
Like
I'm like,
lightsabers.
yeah, I was like, that's cool. I can dig that.
It's fucking awesome, man. And like not only that, just the way it's shot with the music, it's fucking great. But I know while none of us have talked about it yet because I'm probably going to tell you off for talking about it. let's get to it. The fucking showdown with Cap and Bucky. Holy shit, man!
Yeah!
Just the way fucking Bucky just runs in and just fucking slams his fist into the shield, and just the sound it makes. Oh my god!
Yeah,
he's
great.
out
Talk
to
to me.
kill. He's
Talk to
trying
me.
to kill.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's like a Terminator thing. Like, he's just so relentless the whole time. He's like Jaws almost. It's like, dude, he's just gonna keep coming back and keep coming back. And the choreography between them, you take away his gun, you take away the grenade launcher, he's got a machine gun. You take away the machine gun, he's got a knife. You take away the knife, he's gonna fight you hand to hand. It's like, dude, this guy is like, they've programmed him in that way to where he just does not stop. And I it's too much to go into, like you said, talking about every single bit of the choreography. But I think it is really great. The few parts worth noting, I love when Cap suplexes him. He just kind of like gets the flip on him and drops him back. And when they get the knife in the side of the van and go all the way down with it, I do think that's really cool.
My favorite moment is when Bucky kind of like throws the knife up and like catches it and then like lunges. Mm-hmm. Like, it's really, really quick. Like, this plays into the sort of, like, MMA kind of, like, style that I was talking about, except with weaponry. It's just so fast. Like, the movement of it's so quick and, like, it just feels so raw. And you don't really get that with other Marvel movies. Like, the kind of, like, the raw nature of the action scenes. Like, they feel very... like, I don't want to talk in generalities because, like, it's really hard because there's 20 of them. There's 20 fucking Marvel movies, so... This is the one where the action scenes just feel so raw and feel real. It's cool, man.
It's very realistic in a way. It's also, I think it's the fact that it's not so much CGI based. We're not dealing with, or it's all grounded in reality. So maybe I think that's what gives off that vibe.
Yeah, man.
It's fucking cool, but though.
We get that quick shot of Bucky holding the shield, which is fucking badass. But this builds up. I love the way the music kind of builds up here, and it just like stops as soon as the mask comes off, and you just see the mask hit the street, and then like Winter Soldier turns around, and it's Bucky. Cap's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "Bucky." And Bucky's like, "Who the hell is Bucky?" Just such a cool reveal and such a shocking. Delivery back to Evans.
And the acting
it's cool,
on his
man.
part, bro. Like, it's that mix of confusion, but like, it's like he's confused for a reason, almost. Yeah. But he's still like, he's really is put off his game from that.
Yeah. What did you think about the Bucky reveal, Colin?
I think it's pretty cool. I think that once the mask comes off, and you could kind of see a little bit of his face when he was having the meeting with Robert Redford, but when the mask totally comes off, like, I wasn't really super surprised because I knew a little bit about, the comic book mythology and stuff like that, but at the same time, like, it's a good reveal. It didn't just blow my socks off, but it's pretty good. I think Cap's reaction to it is the best part of it, and like you said, like, Bucky's confused, like, who the hell's Bucky, but he kind of gives him a look like, I know who that is. I can tell who you're talking about. Like, right before he points the gun and shoots, and then Black Widow shoots the grenade at him, like, he looks at him kind of like, I think I know you. Like, he kind of gives a little bit of a hesitant look. But I do like that, basically, like, there is a little bit of confusion on Winter Soldier's end. He's like, yeah, who the hell's Bucky? But it's almost like an afterthought. He's like, wait. I know who that is. It's like like there's something in the back of his head that he knows he knows that name. He's heard that before, and I think that's the look on his face. He's kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, they get captured by the strike team. The strike team can't like kill them here because it's very public. So they get transported. While they're being transported, they get rescued by Maria Hill. Pretty cool reveal. I love the way she holds up the taser and then she immediately tases the person next to him. It's cool.
I'm really happy they brought back Maria Hill, even if it's just for a little bit. I feel like the way they'd set her up with the Avengers film, like, it seems weird by not having her around. So I'm glad they found a way to bring her in for this. And
I think Kobe Smulders is really beautiful.
Dude, yeah.
She is. She is the mother. So, well, not really. No, sorry. Cancel that.
Spoilers.
But no, she's great. I've always loved her. I loved her in How I Met Your Mother. I'm stoked every time she's in a Marvel film.
Yeah. They manage to escape. They meet Fury at the dam. It's revealed that Fury's not dead. Surprise, surprise. Yeah.
Jinx.
The guy, the doctor that helps with the gunshot wound, is one of the directors.
Okay, I was gonna say, dude, there's something like they don't usually. I was like, for this guy just to be a doctor, like they hang on him for just a second longer than I thought. And I was like, nah, this is some kind of cameo.
Yeah, it's Joe Russo. He's obviously one of the directors, but yeah, he's also in Civil War as well, I believe. He has like little cameos here and there, but yeah, it's revealed that fucking Fury's alive. It's not that much of a reveal if you've seen any other comic book movie ever.
Yeah.
We cut back to the Winter Soldier being repaired and essentially being interrogated by Redford's character, right? Like this is cool, man. Like we see how Zola sort of rescued Bucky after his sort of fall from the train in the first one. We get a quick glimpse of comic book legend Ed Brubaker, who created the Winter Soldier, I believe. Yeah, it's like a little quick cameo. He's the one that the Winter Soldier chokes out in his little sort of flashback thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And basically, Redford wipes his memory and reprograms him, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like he asks him, he's like, you can see the Winter Soldier here, kind of like, I knew that guy on the bridge. Like he's like, who was he? And Redford's like, oh shit, I can kind of see him like kind of like getting his memories back and things like that. And he's like, wipe him, fucking reset him. And he becomes the same old robot that he was, right?
Right.
Can I
Yeah.
ask you guys, from your interpretation, do you think his memory gets wiped after every mission and then gets put back on ice? Or,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
I'd say so.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like this: if the seeds of doubt are planted so easily just by seeing a face that you recognize, then this guy's probably a luxury they can't really afford to just let him loose all the time. It's almost like a computer that after you use it for too long, it's like, okay, well, I've got a bunch of pop up ads, whatever. I'm just gonna go ahead and like restart, and it'll start like fresh and new.
Yeah, for sure. His screams, man, like they feel real. Like Stan is such a good actor here.
Fuck yeah.
He absolutely sells the, like, he's torn, man. Like you can tell he's in pain, but he's desperately trying to remember something,
Right, yeah, for sure.
It's cool. It's cool. But then we cut back to the dam, and basically this is the scene where Captain America takes control. He's like, we need everything fucking goes. Like, we get rid of S.H.I.E.L.D., we get rid of Hydra, everything, like, we reset from fucking square one. What do you think of this? Either one of you, whichever one wants to go first.
Hero. It's the point of no return. Classic point of the hero's journey, and it's Marvel doing what they do best. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Right, it's kind of like the like the hero's journey, like the call to arms. It's the call to take action. We've been prepping enough. We've been talking about this enough. We need action now. We can't sit here and just talk about this anymore. This has been a movie that has a lot of dialogue, and it has a lot of espionage and a lot of good lines. Who can you trust? Who can't you trust? But now those lines in the sand are drawn. So instead of just talking about who we can and can't trust, now we know who we can and can't trust. We get to reveal that Fury's alive. We get to reveal that Redford's part of Hydra. So it's all kind of setting up everything really good for this final act, this conflict that's going to happen.
Yep. Looks like you're giving the orders now, Cap. It's fucking cool, man.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. So that leads into this pretty, man, I just love how this movie balances the action, the big blockbuster action sequences with these quieter moments. Cap is sort of like reminiscing about his moments with Bucky. Just the I'm with you till the end of the line, which comes back later. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And just the way Bucky's kind of like there for him with the key, like he knows him on an intimate level. He's his brother. It's cool, man.
Yeah,
But
and I was going to say, and I really like that as he's having as he's having these moments, it ends up being Falcon who comes up, who's kind of almost like a surrogate Bucky in a way. He's like, the guy doesn't even know you, and you would think this conversation could go two different ways. This movie could have gone two different ways, where basically he's like, yeah, you're right, he has to be stopped, he has to be destroyed, blah blah blah. But instead, Captain America's kind of like, no, like I think I can make him come around, and it's kind of like where we might have actually seen something kind of blossom between Cap and Falcon. It's kind of shut down with Cap being like, no, like, I need to go talk to him. We need to go figure out what's going on. And he wants to save his friend. It's literally the only connection he has to his previous life. And like, I mean, if because you guys are a lot closer, imagine one of you waking up and finding out that the other one is alive, but he's a total douchebag and trying to kill you the whole time. It's like you would do anything to try to convince that guy that I'm your friend.
We've already been through that situation.
Yeah,
Mate,
right.
I call this shit Tuesday.
Yeah, I know. Both you guys are like 70 years old, and you're sleeper cell agents and superhero serum soldiers and stuff. But
oh shit. If you've blown my cover, that means I have to kill you. You are aware of this, right?
Right, yeah. Just within cells interlinked and like calm you back down real quick.
For sure, man. But Cap realizes he needs another suit. He goes and steals the old First Avenger costume, which I think is awesome. I love this uniform. Yeah, man, it's fucking awesome.
It's cheesy, but it's like
I don't think it's cheesy at all. I think it's more practical than the other ones. Like it looks like a paratrooper's outfit. Like what I mean?
It's rustic. It's very rustic.
Disagree.
Okay,
but here's the thing. Like I feel like it's a little cheesy, but like they knowingly know it is, and that's like what gives it its charm. So I think I do like it, but I like it for different reasons.
But we get the great Stan Lee. I am so fired.
One of my favorite cameos of his, to be honest. It's in the top 5, I would say.
Yeah. So we see the Security Council coming to the Triskelion. They put on these badges, which come into play a bit later. And then we get introduced to Abed from Community.
Yay! Nice cameo.
Just a little cameo there. Basically,
Danny Pudi, is that his name?
Danny Pudi is his name. Yeah. He's basically it's Cap and Maria fucking breaking into the control room, and dude, this speech is fucking awesome.
It reminds me of the Independence Day one a little bit.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Rocky IV fucking speech. Like it's cool, man. Like I think it's time for you to know the truth. He's just it's Chris Evans absolutely selling this character. This is the moment where you kind of like you side with him because he's such a like the Boy Scout thing that I used to hate. I'm on board for this time around because it's so cool, man. Like you're like, holy shit, you want to do the right thing.
Yeah, it's because in this moment he's the leader you want to follow.
Mm-hmm.
He's fighting for like the right thing, and they really do show this off in an upcoming scene, which we'll touch on soon. But it's such a great moment, and it's the only like it's such a classic movie moment of that call to arms sort of moment, and we don't get a lot of them in like Marvel films, and it's such a great speech, man. It's like yes, this is a hero. This is what I want to do. Let's fight it. And it goes into this awesome scene and this awesome sequence of action where they've got a mission to do, which is very Star Warsy to me. Like it's like, okay, we're gonna break off in teams. We're gonna do this. Well, you do that. But we first we gotta tell the troops to go to war, sort of thing. And I love that about stuff like this, man. Guys, I like this movie. It's a pretty good movie.
Oh, I didn't notice. Yeah, so basically after that, the rest of the strike team kind of walks into the Security Council. They hold him hostage. I love Frank Grillo down in the control room telling that guy to preempt the launch sequence and send those ships up now.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about, man. I love how he refuses him. Like, he's been spied by Cap.
His speech is very inspirational, right? Like it's awesome. But I love Frank Grillo like still pushing him. He's like, "Is there a problem?" And man, I can't talk more highly about Frank Grillo. He's so cool, man. He's so
boss.
cool.
He's a boss.
Yeah,
Not to mention he's scary as shit.
I was
if he was
gonna say,
yelling at
yeah.
me like that, I'd shit my pants.
He's very intimidating, and that, I mean, I got to give the whatever, the control guy, he's just like, no, sir, I'm not going to launch that shit. It's like, fuck that. I would have been like, where do you want the ships to go, dude? Let me know.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, you want me to go? You want me to go up now? Yeah, sure, no worries.
You want anything to drink or?
Yeah. Can I get you a fucking coffee? But yeah, I love this, man. Shit pops off. Emily Van Camp's character, fucking, what's her name? Sharon Carter. She holds up the gun, and I love the way fucking Frank Grillo slices the knife. Fucking the gun falls, and he picks it up, and then everything just pops off at once. Oh, it's so cool, dude. And then we see the fucking this overhead shot of the fucking ships just coming up from beneath. It's cool, man. It's so fucking cool.
It's gigantic.
I've said that, I think. Yeah, it's huge. I think I've said it's cool, man, so many fucking times this podcast.
It's like we're getting commission on it.
Yeah. I know. Fuck me, man. It's cool. There's not really that much to kind of go into here. Like, it is an action scene, so we can kind of talk in generalities. Cap basically sneaks aboard the ships. He takes them down, like, hand-to-hand combat, as he always does. It's pretty cool to see Falcon fly around and, fuck shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me about it.
Again, this sequence, to me, it's very Star Wars. We got Falcon's like the X-Wing going around shooting all the ships. Well, we've got Captain America, but the Jedi fighting the big bad guy that he has a history past with. In this and that like station even feels like very Star Warsy to me. While we've got the other guys, like the troops fighting on the ground outside. Did I just describe New Hope or Phantom Menace or fucking Force Awakens?
Please don't mention Phantom Menace on this podcast.
Say what you want. But I love these action scenes where it's like, okay, we're going to storm the castle and we're all going to break off into little teams. And with different little missions and stuff. I always love those moments in movies, which is like, to me, is very Star Warsy because I feel like Star Wars do it best. But like, Winter Soldier's doing that here in a way, and it's fucking cool, bro. And I love the stakes we've got with Cap fighting Winter Soldier above like the high ground, Falcon's being a fucking boss.
Yeah, we get the reveal that Black Widow's in disguise as one of the Security Council women.
Right. Yes, she's Jenny Agutter.
Oh, is she? Is that her? Oh,
yeah, cool. I'm pretty sure that's her.
Yeah,
that's fucking awesome, man.
I didn't see that coming. And then we even got Fury in a helicarrier as well.
Yeah, but we haven't really mentioned. The CGI work in this movie, when it matters, is really cool. Mm-hmm. Like, it looks like these ships are in the fucking air. Like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't...
No,
go, Colin.
I was just gonna say they pick their battles well with their CGI. They don't. Yeah. It's not overly used. I mean, it's a Marvel movie. Like, you eventually get very accustomed to how much of this is actually CGI. This whole battle looks way better than Cap taking on that fucking jet. When he's leaving Shield, like it looks so much better. And I think they pick their battles well, and they pull their punches well. They know when to hit hard, and they know when to not throw everything at you, and I think it's great.
100%.
Something that blew my mind looking at behind the scenes for this film, and maybe this shouldn't be that impressive, but to me it is. It's the fact that almost every time you look out of a window in this film, it's green screen, because most of these are sets. They're not shooting in a building or whatever. And I know that's such a minor thing, but...
Thanks for ruining the magic for me, you dick.
But it never feels fake. It doesn't feel all CGI. It feels super practical. And that's just a very, very minor way of using CGI. It's not like having a character like Rocket or Groot where it's a fully CGI character. There's a small little detail in the background that they do, but which adds, I guess, to it. But it doesn't feel fake, which is what I love.
Definitely, man. I think it's just quickly important just to hit on what they're trying to achieve here. They have these chips. If they install the chips, it changes the targeting system. It's very comic booky, but it's still pretty cool. You do have to give the heroes an objective, so it's pretty cool. I love the Falcon flying away from these missiles, and like he kind of does that little dive, and it kind of hits the little dome in the helicarrier. It's fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on because we can kind of break down everything in this action sequence, and we'll be here all day because it goes on for a while. Let's talk about the Winter Soldier's kind of entrance. Just the way he fucks these guys up at the helicarrier when he takes one of the jets. He kicks the guy into the propeller.
Oh, Jesus.
So cool.
It's fucking cool, man. It's cool. And he just like taps a grenade. I can't get over the Winter Soldier's character. Like, I think I like him more as a villain than as a hero.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I guess that's also his character as well. We get Fury's arrival. The arrival that he's alive, and Redford's like, oh, hello.
So while all this is happening, there's an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where it takes place like within the building where they don't come across Cap, but they do come across, I think, Nick Fury. And we have Coulson and all that. They actually discover like what's going on. I think they overhear Cap's speech, and they've had their own little investigation going on. And that show, this was season 1, it was so fucking slow. And I'm there like thinking, fuck, do I keep watching this? I'm not even really into it. And then an episode happened where it perfectly crosses over with Winter Soldier. They'd waited for Winter Soldier. And me seeing it, like, I think it was the day after the movie. I'm just like, what the fuck? It was so cool. It's a pity that show is not as amazing as it could have been. But
I'd actually say it's shit.
Yeah, it's
couldn't
not
deal with
great.
it.
But if you want to have a fun time, and you really want more Winter Soldier experience, that's one episode willing to check out. That's pretty cool. And it just goes to show like the intertwinedness of this was so great. What happened, I don't fucking know. I wish all the fucking movies tied into shows, but yeah.
Do you guys understand this moment where Fury's like, you need to keep both eyes open? Like, I don't get how, like, does he have both profiles of his eyes on the system? Like, I don't fully understand how he's able to use the other eye.
I don't know. I didn't even really think about that, honestly.
It's like he's blind or something. You know what? I actually don't know. Is he revealing that he has an eye? Is it the fact that he has an eye?
He uses his fucked up eye to get access to the system.
Right. So it's like maybe that's the reveal. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. I always felt it's maybe a reference to, and this is so fucking stupid, but there was a Nick Fury film with David Hasselhoff in like I think it was the 80s or 90s, and behind that patch in his eye, he stores a miniature grenade.
Oh my god!
So there's a grenade in his eye or something. Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
What?
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I always thought maybe it's a nod to that. Like, while we chat, I'm gonna look it up, see if there's a reference we didn't miss. But
the fighting with Cap, Falcon, and Winter Soldier is fucking awesome. Winter Soldier rips off fucking Falcon's wing. Oh, it's awesome, man. He takes him out of the fight. It's pretty badass. We get this fucking awesome moment of Frank Grillo just kind of like taking dudes down. Like, this guy is like incredibly like physical. And then we get the showdown between Cap and Bucky. And basically Bucky's in Cap's way, and then we get another fucking hand-to-hand fight. This is gonna sound like really repetitive, so I'm just gonna fucking blow through this. I know it's not doing the movie justice because the movie does this so well. It like everything here, the way it's directed is so very well, professionally and efficiently directed. Colin, do you have anything to say about this?
Well, I think more so to your point of not being able to. I mean, we're talking about a movie that's half espionage, half a action thriller movie, and I think that not only can we not, words can't summarize exactly what it is that we're seeing like all the time. It's just so much. I mean, that if you've seen a Marvel movie, you know exactly what we're talking about. We can't sit here and summarize every little thing out, and it's also doing an injustice to the choreography and the time that it's taken, these people to learn and do this stuff. I think that it's great to kind of like highlight on stuff. I think it's great to look at certain scenes like we were talking about with Cap in the elevator and him throwing the dude into the roof and bringing it back down. Like, there's certain things about those scenes that we like, but it's really hard to just continually articulate these action scenes to go, oh yeah, well he throws the left punch and this guy throws a right punch and then this. I mean, congratulations, you just did a 6-hour long podcast.
I know.
And it's
actually funny you mentioned that because like I posted a photo on my personal Instagram talking about, like, I was going to talk about this, Captain America Winter Soldier, and our good friend of the show, Jesse Privet, as he always likes to comment on our photos. I love that kid. He posted, "This better be a 3-hour epic," and look, it's going to be a 3-hour epic. It's just really tough to kind of talk about every single gut punch that happens, like. Well,
not only that, it's also somewhat honestly, of a complicated story.
Honestly, guys,
well, that too.
I could do that. I could talk about every single gut punch.
Well, and,
and this is where we like to announce. That next week we're actually recording the extended cut of the Winter Soldier podcast, where it's going to be 12 hours long. We're going to refer every punch. We're actually going to talk about the audio commentary, and we're going to break every word down in that. For the special features, so stay tuned. It's going to be a great episode.
100%.
Yeah.
But look, before that, I want to touch on probably the next sort of like big emotional beat, and that's basically when Cap chokes out Bucky and Bucky lets go of the chip, and Bucky's just fucking firing away at Cap, and it's like, you'd think that Cap's failed, but he hasn't, right? Like, he's able to put the chip in, and basically the helicarriers are fucking each other up. This is awesome, man. Like, this is the way you see these, like, you see the parts of the fucking ships just blow away at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I guess to your point, Matt, like in every Star Wars movie, there's kind of like a sub fight, I guess. So you got Falcon fighting Frank Grillo's character. But yeah, it's cool. Funny fact, you see the helicarriers targeting Tony Stark, which is cool. But yeah,
this movie's so fucking good.
You're out there?
Man. So he chokes the fuck out of Winter Soldier. He's still like, let's go. He fucking the helicarriers blow up. And then there's like that falling sequence.
Just before that happens, though, we get the reveal that the badges that the Security Council are wearing, burn a hole through their hearts, if need be. So Redford gets the upper hand on them. But before that happens, Black Widow pulls out her signature electronic kind of like stun grenades, I guess. She pushes hers, and it nullifies her badge, so she can't really be affected. And bang, Fury puts a bullet into fucking Redford.
I would have shot him either way. Fuck the electronic thing. Like, oh, you're gonna hit a button after I plug you 6 times? I don't fucking think so, dude. I'm gonna shoot you once in the face, and you're gonna drop that thing.
Yeah, and there's that sequence where Black Widow's gonna throw up the she's like, I'm gonna put our secrets online, and he's like, what about your past? That's going to come up. And she's just like, fuck you. And do. And then it's like, the whole internet knows. Reddit would have had a field day. It's like, oh shit. Fucking Richard Branson's from Hydra. What? Or, all this Illuminati shit going on. So many conspiracy theories. Imagine remember, that annoying conspiracy theorist guy imagine him after Hydra. It's like, I told you guys, Walmart is secretly raised up their prices because they're Nazis. Walmart, please don't sue. Please don't sue. But yeah, like that would have been crazy. Imagine if that happened real. Like, I guess we had that with Edward Snowden, right? Like, this is pretty Snowden-ish, but like, this is like next level. Like, that would have affected every aspect of our lives. That would have been crazy.
For sure. But then that's
like
when we get the sort
world.
of like the... No, go on, Matt. Go on, Colin.
No, I was just going to say literally like the real world implications of that.
Yeah, 100%. But then we get the falling sequence of the helicarriers. Just the way they fucking fall, and you get that really cool aerial shot of the helicarrier hitting the fucking ground. This movie, up to this point, it's kind of small in scale. Like, when you think of an action superhero movie, it's not until this moment where shit starts to blow up. So you kind of really needed this, I guess, to show that, you spent quite a little bit of money on this movie. But really, you don't think it's small? It's been mostly hand-to-hand combat sequences, right? Like,
well, we've had explosions in the streets and stuff. I guess so. Like, it's not like they're fighting aliens or whatever, but like, I feel like the stakes have been big. The stakes. It's been small spy-level combat sort of shit. I'll give you that, but like, the stakes have been kind of big there.
All right,
this is a Captain America movie.
I was going to say, this is a Marvel movie. If it doesn't end with something 30,000 feet above the air or the entire fate of the universe getting destroyed, it's not a Marvel movie.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which
you need to
goes into my
satisfy
theory
your wider audiences.
That goes to my theory that Ant-Man and the Wasp is not a Marvel film. It's actually... No, I'm kidding. It's fine.
Yeah, I might be with you on there. But... we cut back to the main helicarrier where Steve and Bucky are. Bucky's sort of pinned down under a beam or girder or whatever. And this is where you kind of get the sort of emotional impact of the movie, right? This is where...
Yeah.
This is where fucking Bucky's beating the shit out of Cap, right? You're my mission. And like, he's fucking taking a brutal fucking hit from his fucking metal arm.
Yeah.
And Cap's really desperately trying to remind him who he is, right? Your name is James Buchanan Barnes. It's beautiful.
He said something about shoelaces and... Yeah, man.
It's a beautiful scene, man. Like, Cap drops his shield. I'm not going to fight you. He's like, you're my friend. And then it's just... I can't. Well, Colin, what do you think of this scene?
I think it's a very touching scene, and you can really feel Captain America, like, just, I'm not going to fight you. And you can tell the hesitation in Bucky, but that hesitation backed by such a confused anger of him being like, if you're, if like, and I love the reveal, when Captain just, he, not only does he drop the shield, he takes the helmet off and he's like, no, look at me, like, fucking look at me. Like, I'm Steve, you're Bucky. Like, this is who you are. Like, I'm Captain America now. And yeah, you're the Winter Soldier, but we were friends. Like, I was Steve and you were Bucky. And that's all that mattered. Like, before we became kind of like war dogs for different factions, like, we were friends. Like, that's what's more important. And I think it's ultimately, like I said, he takes that fucking beating, and it's ultimately the thing that really stops Winter Soldier from just blasting his fucking head off. Because he's standing above him and he's totally got the drop on him, but he hesitates, and then that thing kind of hits him and knocks them both down, or knocks Captain America down into the water. But I love that
favorite. Oh, sorry.
No. I was just gonna say I love that scene. I think it's great. I think it's a good note to end. Like, start wrapping things up on.
Yeah, man. Like, one of my favorite fight scenes in the whole MCU, was from like a story standpoint. It's always been at the end of the first Thor, where Thor fights Loki, because you can tell like they kind of don't want to fight each other, but they have to. And it's that emotional, like, it's like they're being torn apart by each other. So it's more than just this physical fight. And I get the same reaction from like Cap's side in this fight. And it's like, it's more than just a fight scene. It's an emotional struggle. It's like, oh, it's so powerful. And like, I'm sure
cool,
Bucky, he's never had a mission like that before, where he's like had to fight someone who doesn't want to fight. in a way. It's such a powerful
I
moment.
love the kind of like the fading shot of like Bucky's hand reaching into the water to
that's
save
great.
Steve. But one of my favorite shots in the entire movie is Steve lying on the bank there, and then in the background you see the Triskelion just kind of like smoking, and like Bucky's just kind of like walking away.
I'm literally looking at that right now. Like, I think it's great because it's a battle that can't be won by blows. It just can't.
Man.
Like, you can punch as hard as you want, but I'm not going to hit you, and I know I'm right. And it's like, God damn, dude. Like, that's great.
Such a wallpaper shot. But Steve wakes up to Marvin Gaye's Trouble Man. Which obviously everything comes back in Marvel, so here we are. And on your left.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Dude. I love
On
it
your
when you
left.
have callbacks like that. It's like I was saying before, you take a phrase, put in a new context. Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's just, I love seeing
awesome.
a full circle. I love a full circle.
It's really cool to close this movie on Trouble Man. Like, we get the montage. Sharon Carter's doing the training. Kobe Smulders is at Stark Industries. That doesn't really come back in the MCU, unfortunately, but what can you do? The senator, played by Gary Shandling, gets arrested. Crossbones is fucking rushed to hospital. He's got the cross, kind of like the gun holsters, just a little tease of what's to come. Fury destroys the tech, sets it on fire, and we get probably my favorite sequence of Black Widow in the MCU. I love this little fuck you to the Congress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's great because it's a character who, she doesn't really. For one thing, a lot of people talk about how downplayed Black Widow is, and how I don't know, because when you're when the kids are snagging up toys and we're looking at merchandising and stuff. I mean, we really don't give a fuck about Black Widow. We really don't give a fuck about Hawkeye. So it's great to kind of see. We would have been just fine watching an Avengers movie not knowing that she ever existed. Now, she's a great character, and I'm glad they have introduced her. I'm not trying to diminish the character at all, but I'm trying to say in a way, she's finally getting a scene where she can just she's standing up for herself. She's not picking a side. She's not being told what to do. She's not being micromanaged into whatever it is that she's supposed to be doing. This is her speaking as Natasha, not even as Black Widow, not as KGB, not as Hydra, not as Shield. This is her just talking as herself and finally getting that. And I think it's great too, because it's letting. And not to get too meta and liberal into this, but it's a woman in a room full of old white dudes who are what happened, blah blah blah, what's going on, and she's stop speaking for me, I am speaking now, and fuck you is what I'm saying. It's I don't care what you're saying anymore, because I'm my own person. I'm not taking I'm gonna take orders from the people who do the right thing at the end of the day, but even that doesn't really stay, because by the end of it, she's basically. In the next movie, she literally defects right at the very end and saves, helps Captain America and the Winter Soldier escape. So it's great, because not only does she have a great arc in this movie, because she's saying, I don't know what lies I'm telling anymore. I don't know who to believe. Believe in yourself. Believe in the people around you who support you and want you to succeed in that kind of way. She knows who to trust now, and she knows that it's not people who tell you what to do. It's the people who are usually doing it alongside with you.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And I just want to point out as well, it's this is familiar territory for the MCU. Iron Man 2, we've had a Congress scene. I think we had one in Avengers. I think there was another one, I think, somewhere. But yeah, I love how she sort of ends so why don't we just arrest you? Because you need us, and walks out. It's pretty cool. It's a badass way to wrap up the film. We've got a nice little monologue. We cut to a few other things too. That being said, if I can just be an arsehole for a minute here. In real life, if we were just you won't arrest us because you need us, and then I just walked out of Congress. No, they'd fucking tackle me down. They'd arrest me right there.
Yeah.
And my ass would be in fucking jail. But you know what? It's a movie. We need cool moments. So we let it slide. But everything she says is true though. They kind of have the Avengers and then they have the government by the balls which again makes sense why they do what they choose to do in Civil War with the Sokovia Accords.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
100%.
I think it's great because, like you said, they have the government by the balls, and at the same time, like literally, we just took your best. You know what? I mean, what do you call SHIELD? Just a branch of security like the CIA and the FBI and stuff like that. It's like
Yeah.
we literally took one of your best security agencies and exposed like a mole, like not just one mole, an entire organization. Like there was about to be a straight up fucking mutiny. Like, what are you going to do? Arrest us? Eat shit, dude. Like, see if we do it again next time, you know, fuck off. Like I like, cause you're right. It's, you know, it is kind of like cheesy and it is kind of hokey. Like, and I'm not going to lie. I hate the shot as she's walking out and it gets kind of slow-mo and everybody's getting up in her face and taking pictures. Like, I hate that shot. I don't know why. I just can't stand it. But at the same time, like, it is a good point because they're like, what, you know, you can't do anything to us. Like, we're the people you call when something goes bump in the night. So, you know, if you want to handle it, go right ahead. But if there's people like us that exist, then there are people who are like us on the other side of things that exist. And we're the ones who take care of that when you need it taken care of.
Which is why the Avengers were formed in the first place.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't have put it better myself. Alright, so we get this final scene at the cemetery. Colonel Nicholas J. Fury, did you notice the little thing?
No.
Which one? Which one?
On his tombstone, it's got the path of the righteous man.
Oh, yeah.
No fucking way.
Yeah, man. Little fucking callback to Jules over there in Pulp Fiction.
Damn.
Yeah.
And his name is the Lord. But yeah, they kind of say their goodbyes. You get ScarJo's character coming in, giving Steve the file. Be careful. You might not want to pull on that thread. And I love the way the movie ends. When do we start?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's cool, man. It's cool.
Which is a fucking gangster way to end a film. Love
For sure.
But we've also got the end credit sequences, don't we?
Yeah, 100%. It's not a Marvel movie without the end credit sequence, and I think this movie has actually one of the best end credit sequences. Just quickly, I also want to point out, Marvel do this really cool thing between like the actual end of the film and then the first end credit sequence. The way they do their credits is really creative. This one, you know, you kind of get these silhouettes. It's really cool. But I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is the one that has the best one so far. It's kind of like these little miniatures, like these little toys that really make up the scenes of the actual movie. It's pretty cool.
Probably the best. It's most interesting.
Yeah. So we cut to, I believe it's Russia. It's wherever the Age of Ultron starts. Basically, we see Loki's scepter here. Like shit's gonna go down with that shit. And then we meet Wanda and Pietro Maximoff, who are the I believe they call them miracles in here, but technically they're mutants.
Mm-hmm. They're Magneto's kids.
Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, exactly. Magneto's kids. Yeah, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, another Quicksilver, I know.
With, was it Baron von Strucker, I think his name is?
Yeah, Baron von Strucker. I was like, oh, this guy's going to be awesome in fucking Age of Ultron, but it turns out he gets killed in fucking 10 minutes, but alright.
Yeah. Is another character who is fleshed out slightly a little bit in S.H.I.E.L.D. Not that anyone cares.
No one cares. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the reveal, man. I love fucking the way it ends with Wanda destroying those cubes. It's cool. And then I guess if you want to talk about it, you just get the reveal at the end, right at the end, that Bucky is alive. And that's pretty much it. I don't know what else that end credit sequence sets up.
Is that where he visits the memorial?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great for me, because that's where he sort of starts to learn about who he really is.
Right.
Yeah.
Gives that little inkling, that little taste of, he's going to become Bucky again soon. What's he going to do with that information? Will he be a good guy? I love that, man. That's such a great way to wrap it up.
And then... Oh, no, go on, Colin.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and then it cuts to black. Captain America will return in Avengers Age of Ultron. I think the coolest one of those was Ant-Man and the Wasp, where it's like, Ant-Man and the Wasp will return. And it's like question mark. A question mark just comes up after it, like right at the end. It's pretty cool.
No, I was going to ask, what's the budget on this, Zoheb?
I actually know this. 170.
All right, now what did it make in the U.S. total?
Holy shit! I don't know about the US because I don't care about the US. I know
fuck.
worldwide.
Well, we dominate the market, motherfucker. No, I'm just kidding.
Racist.
I know worldwide. It's like 760, I think.
Right, now this is kind of crazy. Like a budget of $170 million. This is kind of surprising to me. I know this sounds crazy saying it only made, but when we're talking about the big numbers with these Marvel movies, $170 million to make, it only made 259 in the US, which is kind of.
I'm saying that.
What? Yeah.
You know what? I buy it, and here's why I buy it. Okay, think of it this way, right? First of all, I think a lot of people were a little bit underwhelmed with the first Captain America film. It wasn't this big spectacle or whatever. Second of all, what was this movie following? Was it Iron Man 3?
Yeah.
Or Thor the Dark World?
Thor.
Yeah.
Thor the Dark World.
So Thor the Dark World might have scared a few people off the Marvel films because that movie is easily one of the worst, if not the worst MCU film. And to top it all off, like, this movie in a way is kind of rebooting Captain America in a way. Like, it's a new style to present him in. It's a new set of supporting characters. It's a new way of dealing with his powers. So we didn't know how fucking cool he is because the action scenes involving Captain America are not on the same level in the first Avenger and the Avengers. So, like, I'm not sort of surprised that some people were they weren't expecting it to be as amazing as it was. But their loss, honestly, fucking banger of a film.
Yeah, I think.
Agreed.
Well, I think it also goes to show that this might have been around the time that people, you talk about the kind of pseudo failure of like the Dark World, but at the same time, this was probably around the time when a lot of people were starting to feel the Marvel fatigue. Which is like, I mean, it's a very real thing. Like, I get it. We were, like you said, like Thor had just come out. We just put out Guardians of the Galaxy. Here's another Captain America movie. We're already on to, when did Iron Man 3 come out? What was that, like 2015?
I think the year before. Maybe.
2013.
Right, yeah. So I mean, like, literally, and Iron Man 3 was kind of meh, and Iron Man 2 was kind of meh. Yeah, so we're having these sequels that aren't doing so hot, and right out the gate, we have a series that I love the first Avenger. I think it's great. I don't like it as much as this one, and I think it's very odd because you very rarely have a movie it's usually always the opposite. You have an original movie that does really, really great, and then they try to capitalize on it, and it fucking crumbles, and it doesn't do that great. Yeah. And it's very odd because we have First Avenger, which is a great movie, Winter Soldier, which is definitely better, and then Civil War. That's like that might as well be called Avengers 3. Like that's that movie is so fucking good and packed full of so many heroes that it kind of, you forget that it is a Captain America movie. But I think without a doubt, Civil War is the best one. But it's so crazy that it actually gets better as a trilogy. You think it would be the opposite. You think it would be, kind of like a trickle-down effect, where it's not so good as it goes on. But it's so crazy that it actually gets stronger and it gets better. And I think that's partly to do with the Russo brothers. But the screenwriters that we mentioned earlier are the ones who wrote, I believe, the first Captain America movie. Now it's directed by Joe Johnston, who did The Rocketeer, which is one of my favorite comic book things. I watched it a lot growing up. I think he was the perfect choice for it, given his repertoire of being able to pull off like a World War II kind of superhero. But this movie's kind of an anomaly. It seems like it flew under the radar. It not flew under the radar is a bit much, but given the playing field that it's in, it was underrated. And it's crazy because it's better than just about, I want to say it's better than 80% of the Marvel movies that have come out that I've seen.
Yeah.
And it hasn't quite gotten its day in the sun. And I think that, especially with the success of Civil War, a lot more people went back and were like, nah, I need to see Winter Soldier. I know that was the case for myself. I saw the first Captain America. I didn't see the second one. And then I saw Civil War. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to go back and watch the second one. And I was just blown away. And I think most people would if they actually gave it a chance.
Yeah, honestly, I think just real quick.
Oh, no.
I think you're right in the money. I think you're right in the money. I think mainstream audiences were a bit, so they might have avoided it a little bit. That being said, you gotta remember we're in a time period where the only film had grossed over, I think, $1 billion at the time was Iron Man 3. I don't think even Avengers did that. Actually, no, I think Avengers did do it, but I'm not too sure actually. But the thing is like, keep in mind is like I think that fatigue had kicked in, and I've lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll help you out because that's what I was going to talk about. I just wanted to quickly, while we're on it, I wanted to touch on Marvel fatigue. Right, I don't think that's a thing. Just outright, I'm gonna straight up say it. Because
I think this film kind of changed that.
Hold on, Matt. Let me just finish this quickly. Avengers 1 grossed over $1 billion. Iron Man 3, I think it grossed over $1 billion just because it was the next one after Avengers. But, I mean, you can't say that there's Avengers fatigue when they're on movie number 19, Avengers Infinity War, grosses $2.041 billion. Like, that's fucking crazy.
No, I remember my thing now. So just real quick. In the cult and the fandom of Marvel, Winter Soldier still is seen as, by a lot of people, the best or top 3. You know, I think there are ones that sort of challenge it are Infinity War, Civil War, Black Panther, and then I guess maybe for some people Ragnarok. Nah, man, you know what? I used to think Guardians and Winter Soldier were back-to-back the best film, tied for the best in franchise.
Okay,
I recently watched Guardians 1.
Before we start ranking them, Colin was about to say something. I just don't want to get off track.
Nah, that's fine. That's fine. Let's stay on topic. I think in mainstream audiences, they skip this, but in the cult sort of Marvel fandom, Winter Soldier has been always seen as one of the best films. It's just a shame that not everyone got to see it as much.
Right, yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I was going to say that, like, I respectfully 100% disagree that there's not Marvel fatigue, because, like, I feel it. Like, I don't have the time or the inclination to even go see a lot of these movies anymore, because there was so long that we went without these things. I think that's why I look at 1989's Batman. I mean, there were so many bad comic book adaptations that were trying to come out in the early 90s and stuff like that. But Batman kind of opened the gate for those. And luckily, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it hasn't fallen on its face like we did in the early 90s with like oh my god, like the Fantastic Four movie, the Captain America movie. I mean, in the early 90s, those things were dog shit. The David Hasselhoff Nick Fury movie. I mean, like there's so many things that fall on their face, and every time one of these movies opens up the floodgates and everybody tries to pack through, and it doesn't always work. Like, you know, there's only so many of these movies. Like, if you want to talk numbers, like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Like, I think that, yeah, they make a lot of money and that's great. But most of the people, the majority, if you want to take 100% of the people who are going to see these movies, how many of them are under 18? You know, how many of them are under 15? You know, how many of them are kids who are going to see these movies? And it makes total sense. I would have gone. I mean, all of us would have seen this movie as a child if we were 10 years old.
Sure.
Like, there's no fucking way. But I think that when you want to talk numbers, it's a different thing. But when you want to talk about substance and what these things kind of, because it does start to feel like when you've got Thor that kind of stumbles and falls, and Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 that kind of stumble and fall, and the first Captain America is kind of okay. Like, we start to feel the fatigue of those things because you're just cranking them out back to back to back, and obviously not caring much about the quality. And thankfully, they've kind of course corrected in that way. They've course corrected in a way where Winter Soldier was fucking badass, Civil War was insane, but it really as much as like they hit a high note. You know, like I do like the first Captain America. I definitely like the first Iron Man. They do kind of hit well, but then Captain America is really the only one that picks up as it goes on. The other ones kind of start to drop off a little bit more.
I think you're right.
Well, I think it's honestly just comes down to a thing of obviously like personal taste and personal substance, but I think it's something that the DC universe kind of struggles with is the fact that like one good movie comes out like Man of Steel. I like Man of Steel. I thought it was a good movie. Actually released on my birthday, which is kind of crazy. I've never had a movie come out on my birthday ever except for Man of Steel. But I did like Man of Steel, but it doesn't. Man of Steel being good does not justify Batman versus Superman, Justice League, the Aquaman movie that's coming out, which I hope is good. I do like I do like James Wan, and I do hope it's a good movie. Wonder Woman was okay. Wonder Woman did not live up to all the hype that happened behind it. But if you want to look at the numbers, behind it, yeah, it was fantastic, and it knocked it out of the park. But I think that with the Marvel movies, I definitely think that the fatigue is a real thing, because you have people who, you have these movies that, it's 19 movies and we started the cinematic universe like a decade ago. It's kind of a bit of whiplash from it.
Look, let me say this, and I know we don't want to turn this into a whole podcast about Marvel fatigue, but
oh no, I'm taking the fucking gloves off, motherfuckers. Yeah. Let's go.
Let me say this. I partially, I see where you're coming from, 100%. I'm worried that I'm starting to experience, dare I say it, Star Wars fatigue already, which is pretty soon. But as someone who does love Marvel and I'm obsessed with it, I do see the chinks in the armor. I do see the problems, and I do understand where people may get sick of it. I think what Marvel's doing right is they are refreshing and they are trying new genres within. They're trying to mix it up. They're trying to stay fresh. I think with the Winter Soldier is probably the first good example of Marvel coming out of their awkward sort of early phases and being like, okay, we're going to try something different. And they fucking pulled it off. And now, the more they do it, the more they're getting better at it. So, like, Guardians was them trying to do, like, a comedic musical Star Wars. And then we got, like, Ant-Man was a heist movie, say with that what you will. We got fucking Thor Ragnarok, which is basically a fantasy comedy. Like, it's weird like that. And this is what's keeping them afloat, I think, and what's helping them keep fresh. Hopefully they keep it up, but that's what's sort of keeping me super excited into it. That's working for me right now. But yeah, this was at a weird time when this film came out.
I think in terms of fatigue, I'm not feeling it. See, I'm not feeling Star Wars fatigue at all. Like, As a moviegoer, I think that if they've got a cool story to tell and if they do it well, then I don't feel the fatigue at all. Like, I mean, look at me. I'm fucking stoked for the new Mission Impossible movie. And this is their
for it too, actually.
This is their 6th one now. The reviews came out the other day, and they're saying it's as fresh as ever. Like, it's one of the. They're saying really high praise about that movie, like that it's like one of the greatest action movies in recent memory. Like, that was amazing praise. Like, they compared it. They compared a lot of their stuff to Mad Max because it's practical effects. Like, I don't really feel fatigue for movies. Like, you know what I mean?
Let me say this. If you don't mind.
No, go on.
The type of fatigue I feel, which is something, it's this one sort of tonal element I'm seeing a lot of now, which I think Marvel's had an effect on, which, funnily enough, is not present in Winter Soldier. It's like, you guys remember when you watched Jurassic World and all that clean CGI everywhere? Like, to me, it felt like a Marvel film and not in a good way. And I'm seeing that pop up in Star Wars. I'm seeing it pop up in a lot of things. And it makes me feel like, the action doesn't feel as tense or exciting because of the cleanness of it all. And a film I saw recently, which sort of like was like, thank you, which was like a breath of fresh air, which was Upgrade. Because Upgrade, it's super practical, it's super real, just like it is in Winter Soldier. It's like, oh, I don't see much of this anymore because now everyone's got this crazy CGI over the top route. A film I'm super excited for, and I can't remember if I said this to you, Zoheb, or if it was to my other mate, but I saw the trailer for that new movie coming out called, what's it, Mile 27 or Mile 22?
Mile 22. I posted on that. Yeah, I posted a
when I saw that trailer, I lost my fucking mind. I'm like, the dude from the Raid, all the shit looks practical, and the way I describe it's like, it feels like one of those 90s action films, because back then they just had to use explosions and flip cars. That's all they could do. And I miss that type of shit because it's real, it feels real, and it makes you a bit more excited. And Winter Soldier does this really well. But then I look at other films, and when they, I think Marvel does it well, but when you get these like other summer blockbusters try and do the same thing, it doesn't feel the same. And yeah, so I think that's a little bit of fatigue I'm getting. Maybe it's not Marvel fatigue, but it's like over the top CGI fatigue that doesn't feel real fatigue.
All right, boys, let's wrap this up.
Yeah,
Let's give us our.
Everybody put your dicks away. The sword fight is over.
My sword is longer. Anyway, let's everyone give their closing thoughts on Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Let's start with you, Colin.
I think this movie's great. It's one of the only movies I don't feel the Marvel fatigue about. I think that not to beat a dead horse, like the parts that for me prove the point of the fatigue are really the final third act. Like, yeah, it's cool, and yeah, we get resolution and stuff like that. We don't really give a fuck about those helicarriers blowing up. We give a fuck about.
No, we don't.
Right. We're like, okay, yeah, we've seen that 1,000 times. Yeah, great, the world, blah 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 blah. But at the same time, we care more about the practical effects, the fantastic choreography. The music is extremely well done. The actual, like, the acting between Chris Evans and Stan, it's just such a great job because it's very believable. And at the same time, we actually have a story that we give a fuck about, because it's kind of one of those things where we get so tired of always seeing the world needing to be saved and the universe about to be destroyed and blah, blah, blah. We get so tired of that. And I think that Winter Soldier is such a refreshing breath of air because it's not about that. It's about who can you trust. If you're the hero and somebody's telling you what to do, are you sure that you're doing the right thing? It's like if you're just a war dog for something and you don't question the things that you're doing, are you really better than the people that you're even fighting? And that's kind of like, not to go too deep into it, but it's kind of like with the Third Reich. Like, a lot of those people did not question what Germany was doing. They didn't question why they were killing these people and shoving them into buses and trains and stuff like that.
That's a deep fucking pull, Colin.
It is, but
no, it is. You're right.
But at the same time, I think that there is some kind of substance to that, because finally we have Captain America who's like, why am I doing this? Is this really what makes me happy? Like, question everything. Question your motives for whatever it is that you do. And I mean, just personally, that's a big part of my belief system and stuff, is question everything around you. And does this make you a better person? How has any of this made your life better? Is this making the lives of the people around you better? What is the cost of those things? Which is another great thing that Captain America brings up. We exchange security for fear, and that's really all that happened. And that's really, I mean, again, that's a big thing, a part of World War II, was that Hitler was able to draw up support by scaring the shit out of people, and that basically blaming Jews and saying all this bad stuff that was going on is because of this. And we see that a lot, like what we were talking about with the NSA and blaming things on, oh well, it's terrorism, and we don't ever really put a face to this thing. It's just a nameless, faceless thing that we call terrorism, or or domestic terrorism, or blah, blah, blah. But it's great to finally see a movie that somewhat questions that. Like, why are we fighting? And what is this really about? Is this really about the fate of the world? No, it's not about the fate of the world anymore. It's about, finally realizing, especially for Captain America, really especially for the Winter Soldier, are you making the right decisions? And we get way more of that questioning coming out of the Winter Soldier, because he doesn't even know who the fuck he is. And he finally has a chance to get a little elbow room and breathe and find out who he is, and not just be some like pacified war dummy for people. And I think that's really great. And I think that's what makes the movie feel really, really good, is that it's not just another, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys, and that's it. Like, no, we're starting to question things and see who we can really trust. And I think that's great. And I think it's not stated enough. And yeah, we can talk about the choreography, and yeah, we can talk about how great everybody is in their roles, but the bigger message behind this is just, you can't just go through your life not questioning why you're fighting and who you're fighting and what you're fighting for.
Badass. Matt,
mic drop.
Hit me. No.
So
good luck following that,
guys. I just think it was a good movie. Now, you know what? When I think of the reasons why I like this film, I can't help but draw insane amounts of parallels to Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. Like, if you put the Heath Ledger amazing performance aside, it's almost the exact same things. I love the way they treat character and stakes and make it personal, but it's also larger at the same time. I like how there's this slight element on social commentary. I'm not saying these films are the same or even on the same level, but that's what really pops into my mind. Man, what I like this film too is just, it's the reasons why I like Marvel movies. It's the way it treats character and the arc of a hero, and the way it just delves into these amazing action sequences, but also it's a film that has something to say. It has a film that has a point, it has a moral of the story, and to me, it's filmmaking at its finest. It's fucking classic, and there's not a lot of and I know it's crazy to say this about a film that's in such a massive franchise, but I when we talk about these the classics from back in the day, RoboCop, Terminator 2, Aliens, all these Godfather, Pulp Fiction, all these fucking incredible films. Sometimes it feels that nowadays, maybe it's because we don't have the impact of hindsight, that a lot of these films, they don't feel like classics. Like we're getting so much disposable shit that's $2 bargain bin trash. But I really, really hope that we look at Winter Soldier in 30 years' time the same way we look at The Dark Knight or the first Christopher Reeve Superman or even Sam Raimi's Spider-Mans. I want it to be remembered as one of the all-time great superhero films, because it's so much more than just a superhero film. It's not just a popcorn flick. It's a fucking work of art, and I fucking love it. Winter Soldier's a good movie. Yeah. Zoheb,
Strong.
what are your closing thoughts on this film?
Man, there is nothing that I can say that you guys haven't said already. Obviously, this movie is amazing. I love this movie. It's absolutely, for me, in the top tier of Marvel, if not at the top. I think it's the best made Marvel movie, but it's not my favorite. I think my favorite is Infinity War, but I think it's the most well made. It's just such a good... It's just an amazing testament to the Russo brothers to direct an action movie like this. The Russo brothers, they'll go on to prove in their next few Marvel movies that they can sort of balance their characters really well. Because, once you get to movies like Civil War and Infinity War, you really kind of need to start showing that you can balance your characters pretty well and give them all moments to shine. This movie does... everything sort of exceptionally. It puts its characters front and center, and then the action second. I think there's this sort of misconception that there's this kind of assembly line mentality to Marvel, which plays into the fatigue sort of talk that we had earlier. But I don't think that Marvel sort of forego their character work in favor of the assembly line stuff. Marvel are now pumping out 3 movies a year, but their character work is still top tier. Even though Matt and I...
getting better.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. Matt and I talked about Ant-Man last week. The best part of Ant-Man is the character work. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, they 100% go all out with their characters.
I definitely agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah, that's something that Chris Schrader was talking about on the Flintstones podcast for How Do You Remember?
Really like that podcast, don't you?
Oh, I fucking love How Do You Remember?
It's good.
Sounds great.
It's good. Definitely check it out, Matt. But yeah, I think also Marvel, they've gone all in on this universe, and it's paid off for them immensely, figuratively and literally paid off. Captain America: The Winter Soldier is one of the greatest action movies ever made for me. That's not a overstatement for me. It's just absolutely how I feel. It's absolutely how I feel, and it's pretty fitting that we're doing this today, because I was telling Matt today is the 30th anniversary of Die Hard. So,
oh shit,
one of the greatest movies ever made, and we're talking about one of the greatest movies ever made.
Has Die Hard been done on this podcast yet? It hasn't.
Not
right?
yet. We'll get there. We'll get there.
That's on the to-do list.
Hey,
but guys,
guess what? I gotta watch it first.
Oh, what? What? You haven't seen Die Hard?
What?
No.
kidding me?
I don't want to fucking hear it. You haven't seen Princess Bride. Get the fuck out of
So
here,
what?
Zoheb.
You haven't seen one of the best action movies ever made? What the fuck?
You know what? I yelled at someone last night for this exact same reason. They said they hadn't seen Die Hard, and I yelled for like 20 minutes straight.
Oh, Matt had a strongly worded opinion about a movie? Get the fuck out of here.
That's new. That's fucking
God.
new. But yeah,
What a close.
look, Colin, I'm gonna fucking spank you later. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
But yeah, man.
So,
But yeah, this movie.
Winter Soldier.
Shut up, Matt.
I'm trying to help you end this shit, bro.
No. Before we get off the rails, this movie's amazing. It's probably the crown jewel in the cinema in the MCU right now, and it's been a fucking blast talking about it. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's wrap this up. Matt, how can we find you?
Yo, if you want to be my friend, find me on Instagram at VeloMatt. And yeah, where can we find you, lovely gentlemen?
Well, you can. I'll just tease some shit that we got coming up. We've got some pretty big announcements coming up. I think it's pretty fair to say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go into those right now because we're going to announce that shit on our social media. So if you're not following us on our social media, then make sure you are. Colin, what's our social media? You're much better at doing that than I am. So.
Thank you. Yeah, you can always find us on Facebook at Midnight Double Feature. We've also got the group that's attached to that called the After Party. It's all one word, the After Party. But there's also our Instagram, which I'm actually more of a fan of. I love the Instagram. It's just so cool. I actually kind of prefer using that one, but that's just me personally. You can always email us at midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. Find us on iTunes. We're also on Spotify. We're also on YouTube now, which is really cool. Yep. A lot of people have a lot of trouble finding the podcast, or most people don't even know that they have a podcasting app on their phone, which is probably built in like the iPhone does, or B, they fucking deleted it because they don't give a shit. But you can always go to YouTube and find it and listen, which is really cool. I've got a few friends that have already hit that up now because they don't really want to download more apps to their phones and download the episodes and do all that stuff. So if you just want to check us out and not subscribe, not really just get a taste of things, you can always find us at YouTube, which is really cool. And also, feel free to shoot us a email at midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. But yeah, I believe that's pretty much everything, unless you guys got anything else you want to say.
I'm good. Matt, you good?
Yeah.
Cool. Look, guys, thank you so much for listening, man. Seriously, it feels so good to officially dive into the MCU. We're in now. Who knows what we're going to cover coming up? We'll do our announcements on our social media. But other than that, thanks for listening, guys. Really appreciate it.